All right,
All
we're
right,
back.
so we're going to start the next segment of this podcast now, and that we are going to. Before this podcast, I had both of us fill out two different tier lists just to
Yep.
kind of help guide discussion and let us easily put our general thoughts on the game to paper. We did
Yeah.
a root tier list and a character tier list. Um, I would like to give a little, just one last notice, I suppose, of my
Hmm.
overall feelings of the game, and you can probably give yours as well. Because I think
Hmm.
things are probably about to get a lot more negative than they've been.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter how much, you are about to hear us make a lot of complaints and criticisms. So I would like to just go ahead and say, overall, I think this game is great. I think it's really, really
Yeah.
good. I think it has some absolutely fantastic sequences and moments, but overall, while the game is great, it is inconsistent. The
Yeah.
high highs are accompanied by some very low lows.
Yeah. It's definitely flawed. Love the game, and its scope is incredible. But it's got so many different writers. It's got so many different routes and endings. Like naturally, it can't all be peak. Uh, it's got peak in there, a lot of it even. But like, there's some stuff you're just like, all right, man.
You could very much
So,
argue that this is a case of too many cooks in the kitchen.
mhm.
And I would even argue, we'll talk about this a lot longer. You can feel the influence of both of the main writers, Kadaka and Uchikoshi, who both did different routes.
Yeah.
You can feel their influence in different elements throughout the game, and I would personally argue that I think that the elements of one of those writers is much more compelling than the other.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I don't even know if we're talking about the same writer, but I don't disagree. Uh, so would you like to talk about the characters first? Because I feel like the characters make up not only just the soul of the story, but also like it's hard to talk about the roots if we don't know who the central characters are in each one. Like some roots focus on different characters than others for sure. So we want to know who our favorites are, what we think about them, and
Yes.
so I think that'd be a good place to start.
Um,
You want me to just send you
yeah, so the way
mine,
the
you
way
send
we're
me
doing
yours?
this is we have not shown each other our tier lists yet. I'm gonna count down from 3, and on 0, we will be sending our tier lists to each other, and
Yeah,
we'll do a little blind reaction as we read them, and then kind of talk
that'll be
about
fun.
why we ranked certain characters certain ways. All right, so do you have yours ready?
Yep.
All right, 3, 2, 1, 0.
All right, so we got.
All right,
Like, we definitely both agree about the top character. Oh, that's
interesting,
hilarious.
huh?
That's lovely.
Yeah, okay, so James already did tell me, but he put almost all the characters, the commanders in D, which,
Yeah.
fair, we don't learn much about most of them.
Yeah. God, I kind of want to look at these side by
Let's see.
side. One second.
Um,
See if I can just open these separately. Uh, yeah, okay, got that one open, and then I'll open the other one.
I'm
Okay.
interested that Darumi is so high. I think I know why. I know your reason why.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, it just didn't. I still wanted to factor in, because some characters are lower than I would usually put them because of whether or not they were utilized or not utilized well in most of their
Hmm.
appearances. But we
Yeah,
can get to
I
that with.
have. I have this perspective on characters and a lot of stuff. You ever seen that meme of like potential man? Like, and has so much potential. Like this character's got so much potential, but like nothing. They don't actually ever do anything.
Yes.
People joke about that. I do like when a character clearly like has depth, even when it's not explored a lot. But like they are well-rounded. Like they have a personality, they have secrets, they have values, they have like heart to them, and you just don't get to see a lot of it. But like once you know about it, it really colors a lot of their other interactions, other views of them you had before. And so there are characters like, I want to say Darumi is an example, where a good portion of the story, you don't actually get much from them. But the few parts of the story where you do get to see their real self, I think colors the rest. So that's
Yes.
why I put her pretty high. I'm, I don't really disagree with a lot of your placements, like really hard. Honestly, even listing mine was kind of difficult. But there's some characters we can definitely talk about.
Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, so you
And I could
agree?
also,
You agree with my You agree with my placement of Veshness?
uh, I don't have the same feelings about Veshness. I definitely get it. I definitely get it. And I do like Veshness, to be clear. I want to say, like, honestly, I don't really... Once you get down to C tier on mine, or start characters I start to, like, either dislike a little or I just didn't care much about. So, for example, is his name Takemaru. I like Takemaru. Nothing against him. I'm not a huge fan of his character design, and I just didn't feel like he's kind, but like I don't know, he seems a little lacking in like depth. Like I never felt like he could be a core of the story, he always felt like a side character to me. I was never like, darn, what's his backstory like, what does he think about this, you know what I mean?
I definitely
Like,
see.
so he's not a character I dislike, it's just
Okay, yeah. I'm just now realizing we never really discussed like the order we talk about these characters in, or whether we do it by like ranking. So we can start with Takemaru.
That's fine.
Because
yeah.
honestly, I really really liked Takemaru. He's a character that I wish I could have placed in A. But he didn't necessarily have like much in terms of like focus roots. He's never really the character of a root. But I definitely feel like he's one of those characters that is a like strong moral compass for the group, and you can very easily like look at him as a barometer of like how well things are going.
He's a good like gauge, like a measurement.
If Takemaru is doing like bad things, or if the vibes with him are off, that's a good like indicator that you have made bad decisions to get to that point.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly just don't have as much to say about him. In battle, he already wasn't one of my favorites. Useful for sure. Everyone's got their uses, but wasn't one of my favorites. But like, I like his gimmick that he genuinely is a nice guy and he like helps old people out, and he's like. He's just like that. He's just loud. I like it. I don't dislike it. Like I said, it's just with some of the characters in this game, I really enjoy them, and it would be hard for me to put him up there with them. Like if you really push me, I could put him in like B tier, but I think C, where it's just characters I sort of dislike or characters I think I just didn't care that much about, where it belongs. If you don't mind, though, before we continue any other character,
well,
I did want to talk about.
I did want to give
Captain
like.
Joke.
I did want to give further thoughts on Takemaru, because I
go
haven't
ahead.
really talked about like the big reasons why I like him. I just have I have a personal affinity. I would say this started with like Mob Psycho 100 in particular. Mob Psycho 100 and a manga called Way of the House Husband, where I really really love like any time a work does like, let's take this like super tough looking character, or even like a yakuza or delinquent coded character, and just make them like a really stand-up nice guy. Like I love the gag that in Mob Psycho 100 Mob joins like the body improvement club because all the people there are just like really really cool and encouraging.
Like they're genuinely like positive masculinity, like guys. They're like,
I mean,
they're genuinely like good dudes.
Now, Takemaru definitely still has some toxic masculinity to him.
Absolutely.
He definitely kind of has a bit of that, like, infantilization a bit of women, where he's like, oh, well, I'd never hit a woman. It's the duty of us guys to protect the girls in some roots.
Yeah.
But overall, I think he's a really stand-up dude. I'd probably be, like, down to hang out with him in real life.
Oh yeah, like he's a good dude.
He spends he spends all his time volunteering for like the elderly, just like he cares. He genuinely cares about other people and wants to do what is like right and good, even if he like puts on a tough guy delinquent act most of the time.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't have too much more to add with that, but I do agree, and I do like him. I kind of wanted to get the commanders out of the way, because I know you didn't even bother putting some of them.
Because I don't have thoughts on most of them.
Yeah, so the writers were like, hey, you know, these could easily, like, these things could have easily been swapped around. Like, I think they share voice actors with a lot of the protagonists. They have similar, like, some of them have similar traits, personalities, and even abilities. But, like, outside of one route, you don't really know much about most of them. Like, you sort of get to see their characterizations a bit, and they do have them, but I can't say I care about them whatsoever.
I like a few of them, and I have
like,
more mixed feelings on some of them.
There's only, like, 4 or 5 of them that, like, have anything worth talking about, TBH.
And this is probably a good thing to, like, go ahead and say. Like, obviously, the whole gimmick with the commanders of they have their own language in the first playthrough that you can then understand throughout the rest of the game. This is obviously lifting from Nier. Where, you know, that game does the exact same thing, where the boss, you get subtitles for the bosses on your second playthroughs of Nier. And
no, I'll say, in this case, it doesn't drastically change your perception of most of them. Most of them are still like, all right, time to kill you.
Yeah, a lot of them are just like, yeah, time to murder you, bye-bye.
Yeah.
But I do, yeah, so I don't know if I would say this game handles it as well as Nier, but there are definitely some outliers that I really, really like. I particularly really, really like Turatami. She just has such a fun personality and presence.
Yeah, let's talk about our exceptions except for Ava and like Peshness.
Because I wouldn't even. I don't consider Ava to be part of that group of characters.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't like them. For me, let's see. The only ones that really stood out to me were, I think there's 3 that stand out, right? There's, or at least for most people, there's Charm Tammy, who has the funny visual novel, you know, illusion ability, and also she just has a silly personality.
She turns into Hatsune Miku.
She turns into Hatsune Miku, and for anyone who's seen her house in those routes, she's got a silly little trap circus house. It's very funny. Very funny, silly. Like, I don't care about her at all, but, like, I enjoy her zaniness. There's Dalsha, the previous leader, who is very powerful and stoic, and is like, I just want to see what you got. I know all the secrets of the story, but I don't care. I just want to... We're going to fight on the battlefield, and that's how I'll judge you. He's, you know, I like him. I don't like that you see him in, like, every route, especially when it's, like, completely irrelevant. And, like, any route, like, ones that are, like, comedy, for example, like, totally unrelated. Oh, Dalsha showed up. Let's, skirt the story in that direction, deal with him. Okay, go back to what we were doing.
See, it's really funny because he doesn't show up in Coming of Age. So,
yeah,
he, like, I think for both of us, he was kind of a later reveal. So it was a surprise when I went into my second route and he ended up showing up. Because he shows up very much unannounced, and I was just like, wait, who are you? No one's mentioned you before.
Oh yeah, he just like shows up sometimes like behind you out of nowhere. It's crazy. I kind of think that's intentional. Like, Coming of Age is the route where you're a stand-up guy who makes the right decisions, so like he doesn't show up. Then there's also I literally forgot his name already, but his son, who's kind of an angsty little guy who doesn't like Veshness, and in the Veshness route he even like helps to turn against them.
I think you've mixed up 2 characters. Dalsha's son is always dead. He is the first commander that you kill in every route. I think
literally
don't you kill him before? Isn't it? Because this actually might be a big thing. Early. This might be a big thing to note. Because your time travel doesn't go back to day 1, like, before everything happens. It goes back to day 2. And I believe by that point, you have already killed one commander. And that commander is eventually revealed to be Dalsha's son. So
Yeah,
that
I'm pretty
is
sure
like
you're right.
if you believe that killing even one commander is like a mistake, there's
You're
no
already too
taking it
late.
back. There's no taking it back. Um,
Yep.
so
Yeah, I had him mixed up with the spinny stabby guy who's angsty. I can't remember his name.
Adamakyu.
Uh, Adamaki, thank you. I suck at names anyway, but also like most people remember all these guys' names. But Commander specifically. But yeah, like he's a little interesting, but not enough for me to put him above D tier. Like I didn't care about him at all. Um,
Yeah.
and you have one more though. You've added New Gank. You think he's
Yes.
pretty interesting.
So I'll kind of go through my opinions of all of them. I've mentioned a little bit about Turatami. I just think she has a really, really good like delivery on a lot of her lines. You get a
Yeah.
lot of personality from her and very little. I really, really like her intro animation,
Hmm.
where she's kind of like she does this like big over the top announcement. Something I like is that she has like fireworks go off and does like a pose for the camera. But like if you
Uh-huh.
think about the framing, if you think about the framing of the scene and like who she is doing that for, you see in the shot like the school is behind her. She's not doing
Hmm.
that to like intimidate you guys, like she's showing off for her own troops.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's, I she's a really fun like even though she's kind of a bit villain and you don't get much development for her even in the commander route. I did really I don't know. She just has a lot of like charisma. Um and next to her I ended up putting New Gank, who I know that he's one of the ones that you just kind of forgot about as well.
It's not like I forgot about him. I like his abilities and stuff, but like his actual personality, yeah, I don't remember too much because he sort of has a whole moment in the first 100 days. But after that, like he teams up with Term Tammy, and most of what you see out of him is in like that cutscene, which you probably skip after seeing it 3 or 4
Yeah.
times in your many routes.
I would say New Gank is definitely one of those characters that I am willing to admit I might have put him a little too high. I want him to be in B tier. But you don't get much from him at all. What's interesting, he does have the same ability as the main protagonist. But
Yeah,
is
I
coming at
wonder
it
if he's
from
supposed to be the equivalent.
he's coming at it from a completely different like angle. His whole thing is that one, he's the paragon of charity. So you get the sense that he's probably supposed to be like one of the more morally okay people on the group.
Hmm.
Um, he makes it very clear every time he enters the battlefield that like he doesn't like any of this. He doesn't really like any of this more than you guys. He even says like his whole thing is regret. He comes onto the battlefield saying like every time I step on the battlefield I'm filled with this like overwhelming regret and sorrow. And I don't know, something about it I just feel like there's like some interesting depths to him that we never see. He's definitely, along with Toratami, like the character that I would most like to get expanded on. And it's also, for me, it's just like
I agree.
the fact that he teams up with Turatami out of any other character is really funny to me. And
Yeah.
I like to imagine that they both like hang out outside of work a little bit. And I would love to see what like a slice of life segment between the two would be. Because
I feel like it'd be chaotic knowing what Term Tammy's like.
she's just like this hyper extreme like probably is always trying to have fun and is very over the top, whereas like whereas New Gank is basically Eeyore. And I do just
That's
kind of
awesome.
like Eeyore type characters.
Yeah,
I don't know,
he really is Eeyore.
and so then in the C tier,
Oh, God.
I had Dulsha and Adamakyu, characters that had some interesting things going on. I just felt like there wasn't enough development to either of them. Part of it is I'm just not very interested in Adamakyu either.
Yeah.
I will say it
But
is.
clearly,
There,
you like
there's
them a little
a
more than some others.
yeah. I will say there's this meme I do like about Adamakyu, which is like, I am Adamakyu, the paragon of hatred, and one of the other characters says, yeah, we can tell, and it just go. If you haven't seen Adamakyu's design, you might understand what is being implied there. He is made of this like big wheel of blades that like spins around. But during like the cutscene where he introduces himself, they're positioned in a very unfortunate arrangement. That looks like a certain symbol from a certain regime.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. God.
Yeah.
That tracks, I guess. Wow.
Now,
But yeah,
what's
like
interesting is
those four
this
have
could
personality.
it could also be like, since this is a Japanese dev team, this could also be a visual pun about like the about the Buddhist symbol, and how he
Yeah,
is
it could
like,
be the irony.
he is basically the exact opposite of what that symbol means in Buddhism.
I couldn't say for sure, but I think those four are probably the only ones of these group that like have any memorability at all. To be honest,
Dalsha, I do like the concept of, I feel like they rarely ever use him correctly. I wish there was more payoff to all the setup and potential like angles for foiling people that you get with him. There's lots of stuff that they tease with him that they never really go on, and a big part of it also for me is like, it feels like 90% of his appearances are just the exact same.
yeah, no, they feel the same amongst the roots, and it's not like I dislike him. It's just they couldn't have given some more variety to what this guy is like to what the situation you're dealing with. Like knowing the situations they have to deal with him in, sometimes it's like surely they could have mixed this up a little more, right? Oh no, we gotta find a new way to beat Dalshao with less guys. Let's just throw 2 bombs at him instead of 1. You know, like
he always does the exact same thing. There's an approach. There's like the first fight. He says, "Oh, I'll come back later." Maybe sometimes cuts Takumi's heads off while he's at it.
A little inconsistently about that too.
Yeah, and then he comes back again. You do your shenanigans, and then you beat him. And then Veshness stabs him. And it's like,
weirdly enough, go on.
I wish that he was used in different ways.
Weirdly enough, he does actually get a different, like something different in Box of Blessings, but I you know how I feel about those fruits, so. But they do shake up a little bit there.
Yeah. Okay, so that goes with the commanders.
I want to go ahead and get this little girl out of the way because I know she's not on yours, or this little child. You meet this child in the Goodbye Eito route, where Eito is like, "Hey guys, I checked this out. I removed my eyeballs. I'm good now." And they're like, "Okay, get out."
Yeah, we will talk.
Weird.
We'll talk about Goodbye Eito.
Yeah, we will
in just a little bit.
The point is, but it's just relevant because Eito meets this child and these children who are trying to escape, so they don't get murked by, all these monsters, and he decides to protect them. And they don't have a lot of character, to be clear. These are just general children, but A, even that's more interesting than the commanders. But B, the fact that they aren't just like these. I don't know. I guess when you introduce children in a story, you want to immediately make them like pure, like I want to defend them, I want to protect them, but like they're a little selfish, they're a little scared. They just act like people, and I think that's sort of what Eito needs in that moment.
Yeah,
is like these defenseless, like normal, not all good, not all bad, just children. Like
to really show the difference in perspective that is like happening in that particular story route.
It also does a good job just for all routes. Just so this is kind of what people are dealing with. Okay. And it does some good stuff for his character, but yeah, not the highest, of course. He's pretty much almost down there with the commanders. I sort of want to talk like upwards now because we already started from the bottom, but also I'm so curious about your D tiers, and I put them in C tier.
Oh, so we want to start with the D tiers.
Yeah, let's leave Kako for last, of course,
Okay.
on the D tiers.
Okay, so Gaku. Gaku,
What a guy.
I feel like it's just kind of a lot of a missed potential thing for me. He gets a lot in the first 100 days, and I do like a
Yeah.
lot of his development, and there's things I really like about him on a base level. I think it's really
Mhm.
nice that they give so the thing about you need to know about Gaku is that he kind of sucks.
Yeah, he kind of sucks.
In like
That's his
a realistic
point.
way though. Um
Yeah.
he's very selfish, he's very money grubby. He if there's
Complains all the
something
time.
he complains all the time. If there's something that he doesn't want to do, he's going to make it like pulling nails for you to convince him. But at the end of the day, like, you find out that like the guy's actually just had a really hard life. He's lived in like this orphanage where he's like caring, he's like kind of the big brother to like these like what 10 or 20 kids, and
Bunch
you
of
just you get the sense that like he just hasn't really had the chance to live a life yet, because
Yeah.
he's having to care for all these people so often. He's having to run like multiple jobs just to put food on the table, and
Mhm.
you know, these kids are like basically the only thing that are good about his life, and now he's been taken away from that.
Not only that, he's someone who just enjoys making other people happy too. Like he loves things like throwing parties and stuff. He likes to give people joy. And he's the kind of person that's working really hard. He's taking care of all his kids, just doing that. And he hasn't had time to grow or be himself or live. And the moment he's removed from his situation, he's immediately thrown into a bloody battle
Yeah,
where he has to risk his life every day.
where he like
with
is
a bunch of
always
people he hates.
where he's like very conscious of the fact that like if he dies here, that could be a big problem for the kids he was caring for back home. Um, you know, like there's a very real chance that like there isn't anyone putting food on the table for them anymore, and so he really
Yeah.
really has to make sure that he gets back okay. And yeah, you get some really good moments of development for him where like as he grows closer to the main cast, he'll start to do really nice things. He throws this like party just for Kako when she's like really really upset and sad.
Mhm.
And you know, he's shown that like when he wants to be, he can be like really thoughtful. It's just that he's understandably not in a situation where he is being encouraged to be that way.
Yeah, it may not be, whether he can help it or not. He's also just kind of annoying a lot of the time.
And that's the thing is
Uh,
my issue comes with how things go in the second 100 days, and that like everything I mentioned is in the first 100 days. You kind of don't get much from him after that. And there are lots
Yeah.
of routes where he goes back to being just as bad as early on in the first 100 days, if not worse.
Yeah.
There are
Well,
some
'cause
routes where he is just like a terrible,
Bad.
terrible person. And
Yeah, you skim over character development depending on your actions in the second. Once you've time traveled back, like you don't, the characters don't keep their development. So like, if he doesn't go through that development again, he kind of sucks.
yeah, well, and the thing that's weird is that the beginning of your second playthrough kind of indicates that some of those mindset changes are brought over, because everyone
Mhm.
does start fighting
Emo
from the
Anima did.
yeah, everything
Yeah.
everyone starts
It's
fighting.
easier to convince them.
Shouma, you know, Shouma kind of speedruns his character development, and is
Oh,
willing
for
to
sure.
start fighting. But it's yeah, Gaku has like a lot of routes where he like regresses in character,
Oh yeah.
where
The
you
Box
don't
of Blessings, #1.
you
Yay.
don't get like interesting developments from him anymore. The most you can hope from him is just for him to do the exact same thing he did in the initial 100 days, and that he'll sometimes be cool and throw a party.
Yeah.
Um,
I like Gaku. I don't hate him. I kind of wish. I would love to see him in a more developed state. Like, what's he like in a year from now?
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be a homie.
I
But like
wish-
right now, man, you got some stuff to sort out.
I wish Gaku would be better.
I
I
wish Gaku
could
would be
very
better.
easily see him being a character I really enjoyed. It would just have
Yeah.
required the writers to utilize him.
Yeah, they need to utilize him more. I would love like a Gaku route that solely focused on developing him back to his best and like beyond to that, because like he could be golden. He could be one of the coolest characters in this story if they handle it the right way. And I don't think we really get to see that.
Yep. And speaking of characters that get development in the first 100 days and don't get much past that and regress really badly, Shouma.
Shouma, our little turtle guy.
Our little poop stain man. He calls
The
himself
words,
that
like,
all the time.
the things he says are just so viscerally disgusting. God.
Yes.
Shouma
I think he
self-hating.
literally says like, "Yeah, you guys can turn me into like a little brown stain on the floor."
He says crap like that. Yeah, he's so self-hating, and I get it. The self-loath. Here's the thing: every character's got their quirk, right? And here's the self-loathing, and he does grow and start to respect himself more, even in the latter 100 days. But like, no matter what, he's still got that personality people don't really like. He grew on me for sure, especially after he buffed up with Takemaru. Very funny. And I started to tune out some of his self-hatingness was just like him defaulting and not really thinking about what he's saying. But like, here's the thick of it is, do I like him? Like, no matter what, even after development, do I like really care? Like, is he the heart and soul of the story? There is one of the Box of Blessing routes. I keep bringing this up, but one of those touches on him a bit more and gives him some time to shine. And even then, he's got one. I would argue in that route, he's got one really like good, solid moment in the game where I'm like, he needed to be here. I'm glad they did this moment for him, and that's it. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, my opinion on him is very similar to Gaku as like I like some of the development he has in the first 100 days, but after that, largely it feels like the only thing you can expect from him is either regression or him to just do the exact same thing he did in the first go around.
Yeah.
You never really get a fulfillment of like his like thing with Ava, and I
Yep.
get to a certain point that is kind of the point, and that because of
Yeah.
Shouma's mindset, he's not really capable of coming to a resolution with Ava, because we'll talk about this later, but like he doesn't really see her as a person. He's very much putting her up on like a pedestal.
Yeah.
And
he helps
not,
with their survival, but
yeah, he helps her survive, because Ava, you know, she is the commander that you end up taking prisoner in a lot of routes.
there
and-
are. Go on.
And you know, in some routes, we'll talk about it later. In a lot of routes, things are different about Ava that prevent you from getting to know her true self. And in the first 100 days, like there's a language barrier. So Shouma's never really able to. Shouma doesn't have like the emotional intelligence to like figure out how to like break through.
Yeah. It's funny, he does just end up being kind of really lore important in some of the more important routes because of his ability. Which, by the way, is compared to like Dalsha, they both have their really strong like defense. I just think that's funny that he might be our equivalent to Dalsha.
That is
But,
very,
like,
very funny.
And you know, that moment where he like he's like really fighting himself and he's like, we might have to like sacrifice Ava to learn the truth, and like how that tears him apart. Like that's a pretty interesting moment in second scenario's story. But again, like, just he's got some good moments, but overall it's hard to really like him. I feel like I should talk about this part of Box of Blessings though, even though, so I guess, you know, this is a spoiler discussion, and we'll get more into when I'll discuss Box of Blessings later, but I need to talk about this because it's directly related to Shouma. Gaku has a pretty, I don't really like it ending to Box of Blessings, but Shouma actually has a really good one because they give him a moment where you're confronted by both Veshness and Eito, who are just so hateful. They both see life and humanity as like really like pointless and themselves above it all, and you know the past is like etched. Like, we've killed so many, this ain't gonna end. And at this point in the story, Shoma's had a lot of development, and he hasn't had to grow. He's forced to grow. And they're just like, do you think we can just like end this war after we've been like killing all these people and you killed each other and everyone like so much suffering has been caused? Do you think we can just like just drop it now and Shoma's just like, yes, it's our responsibility to do that, to be better, to grow, to like learn and like try to change things. Like we can end this. Like we can keep whining and pitying ourselves and getting back into a corner and saying, oh, things are so hard, or we can just like deal with it. And you people especially should be better than this, especially as a leader. Like, what the heck? And I'm like, you go, Shouma, what the heck? Why are you really good all of a sudden? Where was this and every other route? So I really like him in that one ending specifically.
Yeah,
That's probably the only reason he's not in D even for me.
yeah, and that is like a nice part of him is that like he is definitely in some ways like one of the kindest characters.
Yeah.
But and it is interesting how like it's a double-edged sword because you somewhat get this idea that like this kindness may be in part because of his extreme self-loathing. And like always putting himself down.
Well,
But yeah.
I can't speak on self-loathing, but you know what character I don't say know if loathe is the right word, but someone that's really easy to dislike, especially early on, is I kind of want to move to Ima.
I will
because,
say one last thing. I do really like the muscled up Shouma gag. Because
very good.
I don't know if you know about this, but that is a reference to a particular moment in Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, that's I know Shouma, yeah.
Yeah, the big
loosely.
the like adult muscular gon that plays that you see
picture.
during a very pivotal moment.
I appreciate that in some moments you can be walking around the school and you can randomly run into him and he's in muscle mode.
Yeah.
For like no reason. He's like, yeah, I was just
very, very funny.
Yeah. So I want to move to Ima because we both have him low, and also I feel like we should talk about him before we get to Kako. But Ima's interesting.
Yeah. He's definitely...
Yeah.
So, number one, I will say, these aren't also ranked, like, horizontally.
Yeah, no, they aren't ranked horizontally. These are just vertical rankings.
I would say Ima's probably my lowest on C tier. I kind of just put him above D tier because I do find him a little more entertaining.
Yes,
than
Ima
the rest of the D tier
is
characters. Ima is unhinged, and I kind of have to respect that. Well, actually, in some ways I may put him a little above Darumi, because I feel like even when he's unhinged, he has a bit more ways in which he can be unhinged compared to her.
I'll be honest. I could easily raise Ima a tier on mine. I'm not saying I will do that, but I could because Ima's actually pretty entertaining. Their joint trauma of like losing their family, the things Ima's had to do to keep them afloat, to stay alive, the personality he's developed, that distrust. The fact that he would just shank somebody.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, he's such a little gremlin. He, like, stabs one of your party members during a route.
Yeah. Yeah, but, like, he's entertaining. He really does grow. Like, he's still got that unhealthy, traumatic attachment to his sister. But, like, he does care. When he's on your side, he's really helpful. And his Hemo Anima power is really cool. I like his wings a lot that turn into fists. Also, Ima as Sirei is really funny.
Yeah, I think he's funny. He's definitely one of the more, like, amoral party members. His whole thing is very much, like, I don't care about anyone besides my sister. And, he's definitely one of the ones, like, when he gets on to start killing the invaders, he's one of the ones who's very much gung-ho about it at that point. It's like, yeah, I don't really have any moral problems with doing this.
Yeah, and as a character, very entertaining. As me, like, actually, like, I don't know, caring about them, becoming friends with them in real life.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, wouldn't want to be around him as a person. Like, as a general warning, I don't know if people who are wanting to play the game have like necessarily listened to this point, but like a general warning I would give, because I do feel like I have to give it for Ima. You know, one of the reasons why he is lower and why like a lot of people dislike him is because like he has this very big siscon element where he's
Oh yeah.
like in love with his sister Kako, and that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. It's just,
Oh,
yeah, this game has some anime stuff that you will have to kind of just put up with.
I saw a lovely meme yesterday that was you know that it was like the writer had two choices. You could either write like, you know, a generic siscon, you know, kind of story that some people like, I guess, kind of character, or you could write a tale of this like traumatic attachment when they're getting too close because of like the situations they lived through, and like try to tell a story about that. And then he just had a picture attached and said the writer, "Holy crap, 2 cakes!"
Yeah, I was gonna say that is Ima, because sometimes
Yeah,
in
it's
some
both.
routes you do get like a nice resolution where he like ends up forging a more healthy relationship with his sister, and then sometimes he
Does
doesn't.
Yeah, sometimes he does not. It's very possessive, sometimes really weird, and sometimes it bring him. If something bad happens to Kako, it can bring him down really dark paths. It may even make him your enemy occasionally. So
There is a
don't like
pretty
that.
entertaining segment where he just straight up takes another character hostage when Kako
Yep.
goes missing in the story.
Weirdly,
at-
accidentally correct choice to do that.
He's
That's a
also
whole other tale.
he's also yeah, I was gonna say he's also like he in that moment he's a bigger threat than like some of the commanders.
Yeah.
Um,
Um.
but yeah, I think that kind of clears up my thoughts on Ima.
Yeah. Kako is more interesting. You might see I've rated her a lot higher than you have.
Yeah,
We are curious about your thoughts.
Kako really is just another thing for me of like I wanted to like you, but they just don't do anything with you. You're just kind of nothing, especially after the first you get some stuff during the first 100 days, but after that, like I feel like she's easily the most irrelevant character in the entire story. Her whole like future vision ends up meaning nothing. They never let her solve a mystery, despite all the stuff in
Oh yeah.
all the stuff in her backstory of like, oh, she wants to be a detective. I like wish
Yep.
that they had like given. I wish they had like a Detective Kako route. She
Yep.
really is just like I feel like I would be more on board with this character if they had given her anything to do. But
Yeah, she's an impulsive like girl with big dreams and like ability, and then like she's literally potential guy. Like there's so much they could do with Kako.
and they just don't. They just do nothing with her.
I like her personality. I think she's just fun. So like my experience with her in the first 100 days, I really like the story twists in a way that's like you're trying to convince people to join you, but then you actually have to convince Kako to stay behind.
I will say that was
And
a
you-
very
you-
interesting point
Yeah.
in the first 100 days, where like Takumi is very obviously being manipulated and not
Yeah.
like really thinking for himself.
Yeah, and so you have to choose. You have to go out of your way to like say, Kako, don't join us, and like you succeed, and then right when you succeed, the whole thing shatters, and she's like, no, I'm going to like. There's nothing you could possibly say that would make me stay behind anymore, and it's like that's awesome. Good for her.
Yeah.
She like chooses that for herself, and you know her abilities in gameplay kind of suck, to be honest. Like maybe I'm just not good at using her like gun or whatever, but I think she's kind of like gameplay wise not great. But I think
the
whenever
issue is
she's-
that all the other characters are so easily busted. Well,
Yeah.
so many other characters are very easily busted, but she has like a few like hard limits set on her that keep her from being as good as she could be.
Oh, they actually patched her to make her better, but the problem is they also patched everyone else to make them better. But like outside of that, like whenever she's in a scene, I always enjoy it more. I like the silly dynamic that they just suck at food.
I
They
do
just
like
love the most horrendous things.
I do like the food gag. They keep
It's pretty
making the most cursed recipes.
Yes, it's wonderful. It's like for me the future vision. This is really silly. Like there's like one route where she's like, "All right, I'm gonna take matters into my own hand using my detective skills and my future vision." She immediately gets like killed and possessed, like
Yep.
immediately. But like in most other routes, like she can be helpful almost accidentally with like future vision or like or pointing you in the right direction, but she never figures things out on her own. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's like good that she has that potential and she wants to do that, but she just doesn't have that experience yet. But she
Yeah,
could be a good guiding light for like Takumi and the others to like,
and
all right, this is maybe a direction we should look in.
I do think something that it is very easy to forget is that like Kako and Ima are like younger than the rest of the cast.
Yes, they are younger, and Ima's more like, makes more erratic decisions, but like Haku's like honestly pretty normal in comparison. Like she has like weird quirks, but like she's just an interesting, passionate
She's
young girl
yeah,
who's like
she's
got.
just like a regular kid in a lot of ways.
Yeah, she's really fun though. She's fun. I will say another complaint is yeah they give the whole mystery route, which would have been the perfect time to have her be relevant, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if we randomly killed her off?
Yeah. What if we did
Crazy.
that?
God, that was so dumb. But like I don't know. Aside, heck, even in Box of Blessings, I don't like. I feel like she gets some time, but like I just feel like in route she's in, where she stays alive, she doesn't have a lot to contribute. But when she is there, there's like an energy that's like I'm enjoying what's happening. Like
Yeah.
if she's not in the room about to do like Gaku and Shouma or whatever, it sucks. But like it'll suddenly camera will suddenly appear, go to her with like light in her eyes with a big smile, and she'll like, "Oh my god, like yay, I love this random thing you just mentioned." And it's like, oh, there's some joy in the world.
Yeah, and she's a character I want to like her. I feel like I could have probably put her in C because I like her more than Gaku and Shoma. But it is just a case of like this is more a disappointment ranking than a I don't like you ranking.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and get should we even talk about this yet? The
Kako-G.
It's difficult. Or should we save that a little longer?
No, we
we
can just talk about Kako. Like we can say our general thoughts on her. Kako-G,
Yeah.
she, I put her in
Kako
C
gets possessed.
Kako gets possessed by evil space aliens
Yeah.
that want to murder, that basically want to possess and murder all life forms.
Yeah.
She's an alright villain. She's in C tier, so she's not great. Like, she's just evil. There's not much to her. I feel like the other Gi possessions we meet are more effective.
Mm-hmm.
She's just kind of there. I don't know.
Kako is almost like because she was the irrelevant character, she was the one they could pick to be possessed and like not break the story too much. I kind of like it because it's for the reasons I mentioned earlier. She's such a happy-go-lucky kid and like the youngest, so her getting possessed by this cold, cruel, murderous thing not only provides that nice contrast, but hearing that voice actress like talk about like death and killing in the most sterile, cold way, or even like in a passionate, like I love killing. It brings me like almost orgasmic like joy. Like it's like that's creepy.
Yeah, I will say Kurara's outfit,
yeah,
really really good on Kako's character.
I agree. I was actually just about to say that.
It's a really good design.
It's a cool design. It's like that sort of Empress I'm better than you like outfit on like Hako's little innocent like girl body with the most evil personality ever inside. It's a nice little. I think it's hilarious. She keeps that bow on, a little ribbon on her head.
Yeah, it is fun.
I enjoy her and the other key possessions, but obviously not that highly. Like she's a mid-ranked character for me.
Yeah, like I will say, like the Gi are definitely things that I like the Gi a bit more as a thematic element than as actual like characters. I definitely think
they're a story tool more than anything.
I think there are like 3, technically 4 or even 5 main villains to this story. 200-hour visual novel. I think out of all of them, Kako-G is easily the least compelling.
Yeah. Also, just the most universally evil, probably, except for maybe Veshnus. But like,
I'm glad that she's there, because there is thematic reason for her to be there and for the Gi to be there. We will talk about that later, though.
Mm-hmm. let's see. I want to go ahead and get this old man out of the way. You didn't even put him on your tier list,
Yeah, I was
so
gonna
I'll get him out
say.
of the way. You see him in like 2 or 3 routes in the whole game. It's even brought up by someone once. It's like, we barely see this guy. I don't know why he does or doesn't show up, and that's just never addressed. But he shows up. He clearly like knows way too much. He claims to be just a generic like guy who lives there and decided to move back into his home after it was destroyed and is just staying in the shadows, hiding from both sides.
He's an
But like,
exposition man.
yeah, but like when you talk to him, he knows everything. The deepest secrets of the game, he just knows in great detail for seemingly unknown reasons. He may have like been connected to some stuff in the past. It's not fully clear, but he knows about the boxes of blessings and calamity, what they do. He knows Takumi's in a time loop from the moment he lays eyes on him. He's like, "Oh, hey, you're stuck in the curse cycle."
Yeah,
Fascinating.
I get the feeling.
Uh,
My whole headcanon is that he's like a priest, and that's why he's at like the shrine.
I think he's just DLC bait. I think they're gonna explain in a future game route. Oh, I'm actually X and Y and yada yada yada, and we're like, oh, and I'm just like, that's cool and all, but in the base game, which we have right now, um, almost nothing. I think
He
he's fascinating. I think it's interesting what he knows and how he interacts, but not much more to say about it.
he's there to
Not D
drop.
rank.
He's there to drop cryptic lore, along with
Yes.
the child from, um, along with the child from the Goodbye Eito route. He may have like the least screen time out of all
Yeah.
of these characters.
It's crazy that you can be playing this game for like 150 hours and see a new character sprite. And like that's how people are with this guy and the child.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, you don't see that child anywhere else. They made a character sprite for that. That's crazy.
Okay.
Want to hop to maybe Nigo or maybe save Darumi for last?
Yeah, Nigou. I'm kind of. I like some. I like some of Nigou's gags. I don't like other ones.
Hmm.
It's not. You know. I don't find Nigou as nearly as interesting as Sirei, because Nigou's whole thing is like, oh, they're just like subordinate to Sirei.
Yeah,
Who gets
Nigo's just silly
Nigo-
incompetence here, right?
Yeah, Nigou is obviously like not as evil as you might feel that Sirei is. Nigou definitely seems to be a bit more in the dark. So yeah, one thing I will say is there's a certain I've talked with you about this before. But I do want to go ahead and
You want to talk about conspiracy route?
no, I don't really because I didn't do his conspiracy route.
Okay.
So there's an interesting little thing with Nigou in that I kind of feel like the localization should have used different pronouns for Nigou. Nigou is in English localization. So in the Japanese localization, both Sirei and Nigou use very non-standard first-person pronouns to refer to themselves. Where Nigou whereas they're both called they both are given he/him pronouns in the game.
Yeah.
When it's like they don't necessarily refer to themselves as male. Nigou uses. I'm trying to find the exact pronoun Nigou uses again.
I think you just said it was something a little more gender neutral, right?
Yes, it is it's a certain first person pronoun that like I think like military officials use. I'm trying to find it.
Take your time. I was gonna say that I actually do enjoy Nigou. I think they're a fun little sort of comedic relief. Like, and also the fact that they don't have as much control and power as Sirei means that they're more chill about things. There's definitely a couple routes where like you kill Sirei and you're like, hey Nigou, you just let us do whatever and we'll let you be fine. And he's like, or they're like, well, as long as we're getting the mission done, I guess. I'm sad about Sirei, but like, I mean, you're still getting things done, so I'll let it slide. And it's like Nigou can be chill. Nigou can be a fun little character to just have around and hang out with. So I definitely don't hate them like I do Sirei. But yeah, there's just not a lot to them. Um, I guess a little more can be added to them if you play conspiracy route, but that's technically not even Nigou. It's a whole other tangent. Yeah, speaking of localization, there's the game just so much text and had to be put out in a time that like there are just little flubs here and there, like nothing major, but I've definitely seen people complain like, "Oh, they added a line here. That wasn't there," or something like that. So I'm not surprised that they probably looked at Nigo and said, "It's already really hard keeping track of all these characters and their pronouns throughout this 200-hour game with all this text. Like, finding every part Nigo's in and making sure to use the right pronouns, especially since they get possessed by someone else at some point. Oh my god. No one will care. We'll just make it like he, him, or whatever." That's what I
Yeah.
imagine happened. And
Yeah,
personally, like I would have been fine with they, them, or like whatever. Like honestly, I didn't think about it that much because yeah, Nigo is just a robot. I don't know if they even care about their own self-perception that much.
yeah, I definitely I really do think that Nigo should have been given they them pronouns cuz like I don't know, there's that when you're in the Turatami illusion space, like Nigo is literally given like, you know, a more like female-esque body and is literally like, referred to as Miss Nigo by the other characters.
Yeah, but like their design and stuff makes me feel like they're more like non-binary, if anything. I
Yeah.
really like their character design.
Yeah,
That
and
part.
that's why I think like Nigo. That's why I would probably give Nigo like they them instead of she her. Um,
Meanwhile, Sirei literally like Twilight from Spy Family. I just think that's really funny. But yeah, I don't dislike Nigo at all. I wouldn't have put them like that low, but like they're just clearly not a lot to them either. Like they're just fun.
yeah, yeah, and I'm not a huge fan of all of Nigo's appearances and gags. I definitely think like Nigo is a character that can kind of get. Nigo can kind of get a little samey after a while. It's like, okay, you're getting
Yeah.
like reprimanded by Sirei, or okay, another character is like, telling you off. There's not
Can I ask you?
much to
Can I ask you a
you.
question?
Yeah.
I understand why these are in their character designs, but the more I look at them, I don't know if they needed those brains there. I think they might have looked a little better if they didn't have the visible brains. Or even the hearts. I think they're there like to show we have the heart and the mind. It's like we have both of those things. But it's like I don't know. I think the character designs might have worked better if they were literally just like an egg and a little ghost-looking thing. I do like
Um,
Nigo's little tie though.
I think it's there so like to kind of maybe foreshadow the fact that like, what if you put another brain in that body?
Maybe. Or just to show like they do have heart, even if they say they don't. Like there is something these two care about.
Well,
Uh,
we'll
would
talk
you like
about we'll
to?
talk about that.
Would you like to save discussion of Darumi for a bit? I have her so highly, like I feel like we have to wait to talk about her.
Yes, Darumi. My thing with her is yes, Retsnom is great. I really like Retsnom. Darumi gets a lot in that route and a good bit in Killing Game as well.
Yeah,
But
but
like
not much anywhere
I,
else.
outside of that, she slides off my brain like butter on a pancake. Does not give anything of substance to any of her other appearances.
That's so funny. It's like I was saying earlier, like I feel like knowing that those traits of her are there does improve my perception of her in other routes. It doesn't feel like the writers seem to care, for sure. The writers of those routes are just like, Darumi's just like this. But I don't know. I really like those aspects of her. To be fair, now I've played the Danganronpas, so I'm used to crazy characters that might have a little more normalcy baked into them somewhere, but like they intentionally try not to show that. Um, and there is that argument, like if you just continually act like an a-hole, like are you acting anymore, or are you just like that? Um, I think she's kind of crazy, and her backstory is definitely really traumatic, so I can understand why she's in such a dark place. But I think like her heart being there, the kind of person she is, like really shows through. Like the amount, like think about it. Like she acts insane and says some awful things, but in every route, like she always chooses to fight alongside you. She always is defending her friends. She's always happy to be with you, is hanging out with the others. She's never ever, like, with like very rare exceptions, she's like not a thorn in your side. She's like purely trying to be friendly, despite the words out of her mouth. It's one of those things where it's like an illusion. Like you're seeing one thing, but the reality is another. Like she's always like being kind of goated. Honestly, she's really good in gameplay. Uh, she's just like she's a pillar holding the group up. I think. Like I said, her personality is really abrasive. But like aside from that, she's the big thumbs up. No
Yeah,
problems.
yeah,
I think
and
she's fun.
she's a character that I'm not going to begrudge anyone putting high. I completely understand why other people really like her. It's just it didn't do enough for me on like a holistic level. I do really appreciate everything that those roots show for her, and I come out with a much higher, like, if it wasn't for Retsdom, she'd be in D tier.
Yeah.
And I do really like those moments where like she breaks character.
Yeah.
But
I think it really adds like the part she's like, oh, this is what she's really like.
yeah, yeah. Um Now I will also, I did find, I found the Nigou pronoun.
Found
So
it.
Nigou in the Japanese version uses the first person pronoun honkan, which is used by servicemen and government workers, which, like, one that does make sense.
Hmm.
And I just think it's neat. I do think there's some fun, like, this game is pretty playful with, like, first person pronouns. I'll probably be bringing it up for some other characters, but I just wanted to share that. But yeah, I do kind of wish we got more of Darumi in her, like, regular state where she's not putting up a mask.
Yeah.
Because
I agree. I think there should have been more routes where you get more from that.
You do really feel from her, and I will say it is it's really effective because, like, she is dead for a pretty large portion of the routes in this game.
Yeah.
I think she may be the one that is dead the most.
Maybe. And it's almost like destined. Like not only is she sort of wants to die a lot of the time, but she's also like easy picking. She's the first to run out there and start stabbing things, so she's probably the first to run out and get stabbed.
Yeah, and
But,
she's like literally in the one of the main routes of the game for one of the big main endings. Like, she gets off-screened near the start of the route, and it kind of just makes it like hit really hard when you have this other route and find out, like, no, like, she's not just the one-liners that you get in all her other appearances. Like, there is a whole person under the hood there who has her own, like, hopes and dreams and wants and fears. And I think her getting off-screen is, like, made a lot sadder when you get... There's a certain line in Retsnam where she's like, yeah, I thought at one point that I would be okay with just, like, dying in battle, but when I was actually at risk of dying in that moment, I was actually terrified. I realized I didn't want that to happen. And so realizing in, the other routes, when that does happen to her, that, like, in her last moments, she did have that realization that, like, oh, no, I don't want things to happen like this, but there was no one to, like, help her. It's really, really sad.
Because others, especially like Takumi, who doesn't have a lot of, doesn't necessarily take action unless you make him, like, he doesn't, like, no one's reaching out to her. And, like, obviously, like, some people try to be nice and she's just got that abrasive personality, but, like, the biggest thing is she needs in the whole story, it may be really obvious, but she generally just needs a friend, like, to hang out with her. Like, that when people are like, I can fix her. Like, it's actually probably not super hard to fix her. Like, she needs therapy, of course, but, like, getting her to open up and, like, talking to her, like, not the most difficult thing in the world. Just no one really seems to try. No one hangs out with her.
I definitely
find her weird.
I think, like, yeah, I think what is sad is, like, honestly, I feel like most people would be able to become like good friends with her in like a regular setting. The
Oh
issue is
yeah,
that she was, picked out of the residential complex and sent to. Um,
yeah,
I mean, because Darumi, I think in a way, like she is supposed to kind of be a commentary on a lot of like the fan base of Kodaka's games. She's very obviously written as
oh
kind of
gee, how did you know?
she's very obviously a fan of Danganronpa,
Yeah,
and I do think like she may be supposed to kind of reflect on how lots of people see these like really dark works as an escape from
yeah,
like traumatic experiences at home, and just like it's a nice commentary on how like even really dark works of fiction give you kind of a shield from the bad stuff going on in your everyday life by way of just pulling you in and getting you completely emotionally invested in this series of events.
yeah. But I feel like I had something to add,
Yep.
but I do just enjoy her as a character, and it's funny. I think she would hate coming of age route because of its just like shonenness and happiness, but
Oh
also
yeah.
like, but it like characters like I think Hiruko is like one of the first that can open up and be her friend. But honestly, I think uh, uh I'm I'm blanking. Yugamu could probably have been pretty good friends with Darumi if he had tried to.
Oh, 100%. I think Yugamu and Darumi would have been fantastic friends. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like, the thing with the stuff I mentioned earlier, I do almost feel like, obviously, I haven't ever met anyone exactly like Darumi, who's just like that over the top. But it's like, I definitely feel like I've met people and become friends with people in my life that remind me of Darumi, like, in certain, like, small ways.
Yeah.
I think that there are
Darumi's
lots.
definitely an exaggerated like version of people have actually met.
There are lots of components of her that I think people can relate to or see in like friends that they have.
Yeah. We might want to go ahead and move on from Darumi, though. Honestly, we've already
Yeah.
been talking about the characters for a while,
Yeah.
and we're like a
Um
little over halfway through. But we built up some foundation. We can get through these a little faster. I want to. I think Moko might be a good next one to look at, unless you want to start with. Oh no, the redhead girl. I'm forgetting her
Kamyuhn.
name.
Yeah,
Kamyuhn. Yeah. Do you want to Kamyuhn or Moko?
we can start with Kamyuhn. Okay, so Kamyuhn,
Okay.
I'll just try and be quick with her. I got to her in Killing Game route. I saw her in Killing Game route. Thought she was absolutely fantastic in that route. She was one of my favorite
Hmm.
characters in Killing Game. Was like, oh,
Yeah.
here's an S rank character for me. She's one of my favorites so far. And then
Yeah.
everything I liked about Kamyuhn, just she has appearances in several other routes, and none of the other appearances like have those elements. She stops being interesting in all her other
It's like
appearances.
some characters get exactly one good route or one good ending, and that's it. I like Kamyuhn. I like knowing her relationship with Ava. I like that she's like can be really smart. The one route where she actually turns off the morning announcements. I'm like, thank God someone did
Yeah.
that. um, her relationship with Nozomi is a little odd, but like I really like her personality. Her being both just kind and really smart, like willing to make hard decisions, but like she wants the best, and she knows a lot about you guys and doesn't want to hurt your
Yeah.
feelings. Like she seems to know the truth about us, like a lot of the bad guys do, or a lot of the invaders do, and she just doesn't tell us. Not because we don't deserve to know, but she's like, it's way too late. We've killed way too many people. This would only bring you heartache and confusion. I it's better that we don't do that. But I wish the best for you, and I will help.
Yeah. I think my big thing is like I think I like that she has that kind of Kurara-esque character where like she's this very kind of like tsundere-ish character towards everyone in Killing Game. I like that in Killing Game she's a bit more of like a kid than in her other roots. She gets like
Yeah,
embarrassed, she gets like kind of angry and like bratty with the rest of the characters. It like there's more friction there. Um in the way of like, she's supposed to kind of be this like genius like younger sister type character.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, no, she's incredibly smart and is definitely better at a lot of stuff than like the main cast, but also like she's still a kid. She's still going through it.
Yeah.
And I really liked the kind of sister relationship she gets with Nozomi in the Killing Game route. And I thought that was like, very nice and sweet to see. And while I do feel like in Rebellion, which we'll talk about later, there is this like she has one really really great moment in Rebellion, but we're still lacking the thing that I think makes her work with other characters on a moment-to-moment basis. They just kind of she turns into like basically a perfect character who knows the right thing in every situation, and it's just not as engaging.
Kill the baby or I'll do it. I think is a really missed opportunity that she doesn't really appear in like SF route,
Yeah.
especially at the ending. Like I don't know why they should have just saved her. Also, I don't.
I mean, I think they literally say like we can go back and get her at some point.
Yeah, like she'll be fine. It's just I just feel like they should have featured her. But I don't have much else to add on her. I enjoy her. She's very like just being kind and smart is always a good stepstone for me. But I didn't have anything particular to add about her.
Yeah.
Moko, I kind of want to talk about Moko.
Yeah.
In your first 100 days, you meet Moko, and then she turns horrifying. Like her head turning 180 and stuff. Nice horror moment. Nice discomfort. So actually, like meeting her in the other routes and getting to know her. It's like, yeah, she's a little extraneous, but also I like having Moko around.
Yeah, she's definitely, like, I think kind of like Takemaru, she's a really good barometer character. In that, like, she's someone who kind of keeps things from getting too out of hand. And she definitely is, like, she's another character who's very emotionally... she's probably one of the most emotionally mature characters in the cast.
Absolutely, not even a question.
There are like character flaws and things that are a big contention in the first 100 days that she's just able to solve in like a single sentence.
No, yeah, she sorts things out. It's so funny. I was just thinking about this, but Nozomi seems like really emotionally mature and caring, but she gets a lot of her traits from like talking with Moko and hanging out with her and like asking her questions because Moko's got it sorted. Now, you played a good portion of the romance route, so you've seen, like, how she, like, handles, like, hey, all these people have feelings for you, let's just talk it out, let's take time to see how that goes. How are you feeling? Like, it's like a therapist.
Yeah,
like,
I do think, like, Moko being the relationship therapist is really, really funny.
Yeah. Like, she's got it handled. Like, lore-wise, not that important. Like, she can die in a route and things will go on. But, like, holding the gang together wise, like, now, absolutely, she wins that one.
I do think it sort of, like, handicaps her in some ways. In that, like, she doesn't really have any core conflict at all. Which keeps her from... It kind of keeps her from crossing into being, like, a truly compelling character, in my opinion.
Yeah, she seems to me more like a narrative tool, even like to keep things going or to give characters like a shoulder to lean on. But as a person, yeah, you're right. She doesn't have a lot of conflicts. They could probably pretty easily write like a Moko route, where say this is hypothetical, but like I don't know, imagine like Nozomi or something dies and she gets like really conflicted, like on like Takumi or the story, and you have to like follow her direction and like her experience. I probably build on like her wrestling and life experience from that.
Oh, I haven't mentioned
like, they could have done more with her.
I can't remember if I've talked about this before, but I do have an idea for like a perfect Moko route, which I like to call the Apocalyptic Maiden of Destruction route, where you and Moko find out early somehow that Veshness ended up becoming Supreme Commander by challenging Dalsha to a one-on-one, and Moko ends up realizing, oh, I'll just challenge all the commanders to a one-on-one, and eventually, in
Work my way up.
wrestling matches, and just eventually like work my way up to Veshness. And so
That would be awesome.
it'd be kind of like a puzzle comedy route, where all of the combat encounters are either like you either have to play as just Moko or maybe as a tag team with Moko and Takumi. And you have to figure out how to beat all of the commanders in like gimmick fights, 1-on-1 or 2-on-2.
The rule could be like the commanders agree to a one-on-one, but the rest of the monsters don't have to agree to that, so they'll keep attacking. So it's like, all right, everyone else
Maybe
fight the monsters and debuff Moko, but Moko's the only one who can attack the commander.
But I would imagine that I would imagine like it could even be like the win states are different since it's a wrestling match.
Yeah, that's just an example. Like if you wanted to make it an actual fight.
But yeah, I think that would be a really fun thing. I think that'd be a really fun route for her and a way to give her like a proper focus route. Even though like romance is kind of already one for her, but it's not about her.
You've come up with several cool route ideas that you told me, and I'm like, they should just make you a writer for the game, because I would love these to be added as like DLC routes.
So interestingly, I've talked about this with you. There is an old visual novel series called Banshee's Last Cry. And
yeah, you mentioned it.
What they did is they ran a contest.
Like a sound novel.
They ran a contest for, I think, both visual novels for fans to write in their own script for a route in that game. And they picked their favorite one and just went ahead and published it as a book. I really wish they would do that for this game. Because
that would go so hard.
There's so many cool ideas people have come up with for different places to take the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yugamu.
Oh, did you want to start with Yugamu? Yeah, that sounds good. I actually really enjoy Yugamu. I would have had him higher. But there's just like a root or two that brought him down for me pretty hard.
Yeah.
But like in general, he's kind of a chill dude. Like he says like uncomfortable, gross stuff, and he like jokes about wanting to kill out of love. But like, I mean, aside from that, this dude's freaking awesome.
I was gonna say he's one of those characters that actually ends up being a lot more like helpful and empathetic than you would initially think.
Oh yeah.
Like in Killing Game route, he is such a bro. He may be the MVP of that route. It is just unfortunate that like in the slasher route, they make him a much worse person for reasons that don't feel justified.
Yugamu's kind of inconsistent in that way.
He's very dependent on the writer. Like they literally just give him a trait that is never brought up anywhere else, where it's just like, oh yeah, if he doesn't get to kill a human being for a certain amount of time, he ends up like needing to have something to fulfill this like bloodlust in him. It's like, okay,
yeah, what the heck is that about?
This is never mentioned anywhere else though. In other
routes
where he never kills anyone.
Were they not like killing like monsters in that route anyway? Like, was he not killing dudes? Like,
yeah, you're killing like school invaders and stuff in that route still. Like,
he has a whole story arc where he used to be an assassin, but he didn't get to do it out of love. He wanted to kill people out of love. In fact, he wanted to use his skills to like not kill people anymore. So I don't know what's up with that run route where he's just like, actually, I kind of gotta kill. It's kind of. I think it's more like he realizes, like, suddenly in that route that, like, he's got sort of a, what's the word? Like, an erotic fixation on it. Like, it sort of develops because of the tension of the moment. Like, it's never been there before, but it suddenly appears then. And I can sort of buy that, but, like, compared to his characterization in the other routes, it's like, this sucks, man. They didn't need to write this for him.
One of the many problems with the slasher route.
Yeah, like, sure, these things can happen. Like, could potentially happen to you, but that doesn't make it the most interesting thing or likable. And yeah, he suddenly So he wears a thing, starts chasing people around, even though they're actually getting like myrtled, and like he makes things more confusing. And don't get me started on the Cult of Takumi route. That's the main reason I brought him down a few pegs.
Huh. Interesting.
But aside from that, like he's really helpful and chill. He makes all the like biological and medical things that help out. He removes the bombs from himself and others in certain routes. Like he's kind of the goat a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Uh, Sad reveal, by the way, for everybody, but he does have two eyes. The art book confirms it. He just wears that eye patch because it's cool, I guess.
But yeah, he does remind me a little bit of Killua from Hunter x Hunter, where his whole thing is that he's like, you know,
Well, I wouldn't know.
He's an assassin who's trained by this like elite assassin family, was like essentially tortured a bunch as a kid as part of his training, but like, and you know, the thing with his character though is that honestly he's just kind of a stand-up guy. He doesn't really want anything to do with the like family trade. He just wants to become like a hunter and like make friends. And so, you know, I feel like Yugamu was definitely influenced by Killua, because
maybe
Killua is like, funnily enough, out of like the main group of characters, like he is definitely at least like the second most mentally well-adjusted.
Yeah. I can't speak on him, but definitely Yugamu is like, he doesn't kill because he wants to. He's just really good at it. He was trained his whole life to do it, and he'll kill people to put them out of their misery or because of a mission. But like outside of that, like he's very well-adjusted. He's like, he jokes about it, or he's like, hey, let me kill you. But like he's just a homie. He's literally just like, I would be friends with him probably. And some of his drastic measures end up helping a lot of routes, like that one where he takes out his bomb and threatens Sirei, for example.
I can't recommend being his friend because that makes him more likely to kill you.
Well, he sort of is jokey about like, I can't help myself, but he says he wants to do it. Actually, there's an important line in one route or one interaction. I can't remember how it specifically comes about, but he does clarify, like, no, if you don't want me to kill you, I'm not going to do it. It has to be sort of like a mutual like kind of thing. You do have to be okay with it for me to do that. And it's like, thanks for the clarification. I wish that was in other routes.
But then he'll always say like, yeah, so how about it then?
Yeah. Like he's a little weird, and he doesn't always register like that. It's making people uncomfortable. But he's also someone who's just so used to killing that it doesn't bother him. You know. But like I said, he's just kind of a homie. He's always looking out for the others, and he's got solutions. Unless it's Cult of Takumi route, where, oh my god, that route is something. He pretty much exclusively leads to the worst possible set of events because of his like, check this out, check out what I made.
Yeah, that's one of the routes I never did, so I will be interested to hear what you have to say about that route.
Happily talk about it when we get to it. Let's just say, when he's impulsive or he makes a bad decision or he gets put into a bad spot, he can lead to the absolute like worst detriment possible for everyone.
Interesting.
But outside of those worst case scenarios, like he's kind of the goat.
I very much see that from Slash already. But yeah. Okay, yeah. Tomato Girl, Kurara.
You want to talk about Tomato Girl? Because she's my number 2.
She's your number... Yeah, wait, so she's your
my number 2.
Oh, yeah, she's your number 2, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really only her and, like, I'm actually blanking on my number 1's name. That's crazy. What is her name, Carter? Help!
Which one? Which character?
Samurai Girl. I'm actually forgetting her name. Kyoshika, thank you. God, I suck at names. I can't keep them in my name. It's not that I don't remember the name. It's that I look at her face and the name leaves my brain. That happens to me so often. Yeah, no, those two are like really the only ones that are ordered like horizontally on my list. Like those are my favorites. Honestly, I wouldn't mind. You mind if we save talking about Tomato for a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
I think it makes sense to talk about maybe Eva next. That's where I have her, but also she's also just tertiary. She's one of the commander characters, and I feel like we can get her out of the way. Not too long of a discussion.
Yeah, Ava's a character I find really interesting. She definitely, I was close to putting her in S, but I think it's mainly just like we spend so little of the story actually with her.
Yeah.
She's definitely one of the characters that, in her best moments, I think she's one of the best characters in the game, and she's definitely one of the most important characters thematically.
Yeah.
I think that
She's
the moments where she shows like understanding to the main protagonist are very, very powerful. It's, it's very clear that like even if in some times you're kind of meant to see her as like maybe a coward compared to the other characters, she's a very like kind-hearted and empathetic person who like is able to see through the events of what's going on and recognize that like everyone else in this story are like everyone in the story are basically like scared children. She recognizes that like even though you and the other Academy members, even though you're all like essentially carrying out a genocide and being manipulated into these terrible things, like she's able to say like, yeah, no, but none of you ever really had a choice in this. And,
yeah, like you are kids.
And I don't know, something about that just like really, really hit me.
Yeah.
And that she's like surprisingly like wise.
She's like young, but she's got like a real mom energy. She wants to protect younger people, and especially because of her own, she's watching out for like Kamyuhn. But like she's just not really a violent person to begin with, and she's always like seeing the better in people, which really puts her at odds with her sister and the other commanders. You could easily have two spots on her for this list, like one for her brainwashed self, where she's not herself at all, where she's just a killing machine. Honestly, that would probably be like C or D tier for me. But her real self, where she wants the best for people, she's willing to take you out or fight you if she must, but she really doesn't want that. She doesn't want to be involved in this at all. She sort of has to be.
She could have very easily been the main protagonist.
Very easily. Like she in another world or even another route, she could have been the main character of the story.
Yeah,
I like. Go on.
It's just I think they get her dynamic down really, really well. Because I also like my favorite route with her is the branch and box of calamity that focuses on her. But I think the Ava route is also pretty nice. I like that they keep like just a little bit of the tension, a little bit of the friction there. Where it does take her a bit longer to like come to completely trust you, which is completely understandable. But yeah, it's there are a few things that push her down into A tier instead of S. I don't really know how I feel about her in the mystery line of events.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting the direction she gets put down in some routes depending on the things that happen. Mystery is definitely one of those.
Yeah, and she spends most of her appearances brainwashed in a state that a lot of people kind of consider to unfortunately be a case of the writer inserting their fetish into the story.
For how much she gets infantilized, brainwashed, or like turned into a slave in the other routes, it's funny that the one route where she is herself, she ends up like pregnant by the end. It's just I don't know. There's something funny about that. Yeah, no, another punch towards Cult of Takumi route, because oh my god.
Well, I would just
Jesus Christ.
I will say like it is genuinely very important that like most of her appearances are in the story are very, very uncomfortable with her basically being like mentally regressed and brainwashed into a servant who's like basically just like, yes, no, you guys can do literally anything to me. You can throw me in front of a train, use me as a shield for like the enemies. especially when it's like you have the context of some of those other routes where you see her as a person. And
Yeah, and she's like the nicest, like, and kind of chill, and she's got a kid, and you're just that horrible to her. And like the characters, like with their backstories and stuff, they probably don't really understand better. They're definitely uncomfortable, but like they can't put into words like this is wrong. But it's like they clearly realize it's wrong, and or you're either just standing around not doing anything about it, or they're afraid of Sirei. But like the story really is just like, yeah, you're supposed to feel empathetic. Like she's you're doing awful things to her.
yeah,
Some at least one route you're made to do it by hand. Like, hey, just brainwash her real quick. It's fun.
it's like
No, it's not.
when so I was over 100 hours into the story when like I got to the route where you are the one doing the brainwashing to her, and it genuinely like made me feel horrible.
Yeah,
It is one of the most uncomfortable like experiences I've had with a video game.
In the I believe it's casual route, you get to see what it's like to be brainwashed. What it's like on that end, because you have a different set of memories. You're just seeing the world through a different lens. But if you ever start to question that brainwashing, if you ever start to see holes in it, or like something doesn't feel right, the brainwashing fights back and like makes you deeply uncomfortable. And the more you fight back against it, the more it effing sucks. The more it torments you.
Like
the more like you start to realize what's going on, but you can't do anything about it.
It like basically
like,
induces a panic attack, doesn't it?
It's pretty, yeah, something like that. It's pretty rough, and it's like living a nightmare. Honestly, is how I would put it. And knowing Eva is going through that in so many routes, where she's like, if you ever make her question or like think about it, she starts like freaking out. Like, yeah, she's going through it. Like, she is suffering so much of this game.
I would say like
and a few times you break her free of that.
I think particularly one of the scenes that stays with me the most is her final Bond Link story, which like this game this game has Persona style social links. With Ava, you don't get to ever do them with her when she's in her regular state. You only get to do it with her brainwash state, which is very you are supposed to feel bad about it. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable. And the very last one is like you say something that makes her like remember that she has a daughter, and she just starts like freaking out, having an absolute like panic attack, and like seems to also have like be having a PTSD flashback to when she almost got killed by you guys, and just starts like crying and begging for her life. And I feel like if you come across that and you don't have any context yet for like what's going on with her, it's such a like devastating scene to just get out of nowhere.
Yeah, I didn't know about Kamyuhn or that before that social link. So like I got to that and I'm like, oh god, she has a kid.
Yeah.
It's like she has a kid somewhere. Like, what the heck?
I guess now is the time in which I'll kind of go back to mention Ava is, I think, a big narrative point of Ava is that she is like a gigantic like dark stain on a lot of routes that would otherwise be happy. And I think one of the biggest cases in point of this is the coming of age route, where I mentioned it's the route where you make like it's the route where I feel like you make a lot of the most morally correct decisions at first. And you can get to the end of that route, especially if you don't know what's going on in the rest of the story, and just be like, I guess this is like an unequivocally like happy ending where we did the right thing. But then you remember, no, we still like brainwashed Ava, separated her from her kid that you don't know about Kamyuhn in that route. And you end up basically just like leaving her to die in one of the attacks from the enemies. And that's that's it. That's her story. That's the end. And it really kind of makes you have to look at that ending in a different light now. And that like to consider that a happy ending, you have to selectively choose choose to ignore that she had a just genuinely terrible end to her life.
Yep. And pretty much any route where you raise the world, but she's still brainwashed and alive. And to be vague and not spoiler about this other game, but it reminds me of Persona 4, where it's like you can get some early endings of that game where it's like, we did it, gang, we saved the city, but it's like you didn't actually solve the whole truth. If you didn't try to find the truth, if you didn't try to find the info you're ignoring to get your happy ending, the fog remains. You've obscured the truth is still obscured. You'll never know the horrible things that remain.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, enjoy your little happy ending with your friends. It's not over though. You can pretend it is all you want, but it's not. And yeah, that's sort of what it's like for Eva, or Ava. I say Ava. I keep saying Eva for some reason. Oh man, it starts to get a little harder to figure out an order from this point onwards because
let's go to normal girl next.
Oh, Tsubasa.
Yeah, Tsubasa is kind of the character that is just the most like, oh wait, you're like just a regular person. Regular.
Yeah, like she has her quirks, but like they're normal-ish. Like she's got the exaggerated like Kodaka-isms of her. Like I'm an engineer, but I make giant robots, But like she's pretty normal. I don't think there's a person on this earth who dislikes Tsubasa. Is that a fair thing to say?
She's a very likable person. I think anyone would get along with her.
There's no way you see her go, with that like smile and not like go, aw, happy for you. And people like her like outfit and aesthetic and her personality, so she's really nice. Also, yeah, makes cool robots. She may vomit a little bit, but she's got it sorted. We're there for her.
Who wouldn't vomit in that situation?
Who wouldn't? All the time.
I do think she has.
She also has really cool car that goes shoot, shoot, boom, boom.
She has really good. Yep, she has a lot of really good moments with Takumi. I think they have like good chemistry. Especially like in the killing game route.
She's one of the few characters I think with no hitches like at all. Like is always going to be chill with Takumi. Like unless he does something bad, like every character, like some characters have to work for it to be their friend. She's just like, hey Takumi. Like they just vibe really easily.
Like, is there any route where she's ever like just completely in the wrong?
I don't know. Like she can be misled or on the bad side, but usually only temporarily or in like weird situations. Like she's never like the enemy. And typically, similar to other characters, like when it comes to her, like what she's good at, she always excels. Like she's just because she's on your team doesn't mean you'll win, but it's never her fault. Like she'll always make the tools and gadgets that could help you succeed. Whether you do or not, it's up to you. But like the stuff she makes works, whether it's a life counter that's checking how many people are alive in your building, or a little drone that can find things, or like just a whatever tool. Like it's gonna work. And she will be able to solve problems, and she'll tell you how long it'll take, too. She's like, yeah, it'll take 50 days to fix this ship. And she's not wrong. That's a good estimation. She's staying up all night to do it. Like goated. She's doing everything correctly. It's whether or not the other characters are doing this correctly is whether how it's going to be how helpful she'll be,
Yeah. There is a really funny... Since I did joke about it earlier, there's a really funny aspect of like gameplay and story dissonance where Tsubasa is like one of the most efficient killing machines in the game. There's a very popular strategy that if you use her in a certain way, you can just literally solo most encounters in the game with her, because she's the only character who doesn't have the fatigue status effect after attacking. Which means that which means as you're going through the game, it's actually it makes the most sense to have her execute all of the commanders so she gets the special attack and the voltage gains. When in actuality, like, she's probably one of the last people you should be having execute the commanders, because
Yeah.
She really, really hates it.
Oh, you know, I did just remember a route where I won't say she's an enemy, but she kind of hates Takumi. Is in, hey, Tsubasa, you think you can sacrifice yourself to activate this bomb?
Oh,
And she's like the last person you should pick.
how could I forget? Yeah, how could I forget?
That one's crazy. By
She
the
does
way.
definitely take up more of an antagonist role in that route.
Yeah, to be clear, we'll talk about this more when we get to the roots, but the idea that like you're presented, all right, these two people are willing to give their lives to activate this bomb, and who do you pick? And instead of them, you're just like, hey, Tsubasa, come over here. Can you die for us real quick? And she's like, the only person who actively is like, please don't. I have a family. I don't want to do this.
It's like the
yeah.
absolute wrong decision. Now,
yeah,
technically,
she absolutely hates you for it.
If Takumi was actually smart, Takumi could have saved that decision. He could have said later on, hey, I knew you wouldn't go through with it, that's why I picked you. Unfortunately, Takumi is not what we would call intelligent.
Yeah.
He doesn't, what's the word? Think.
Yeah. That whole route's funny, because it's like, man, everything that happens... If you make Tsubasa, if Tsubasa hates you, you've really, like, messed up, I think. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, making her specifically hate you is like, good job, player, you did it. You broke the game.
It is kind of funny
crazy.
How in some routes she is just, like, the deliverer of karma. Like, I think it's in Killing Game, she ends up killing the second sponsor. Just immediately.
Just like, check this out, knife to the throat.
Just like you can do with her in battles, you know, she solos Veshness in a certain route in the story.
Yep. Tsubasa would handle the whole plot if you let her, honestly. It's funny, even like Nozomi can be passionate, like have enemies, even though she's empathetic, but like Tsubasa's got the right balance of empathy, but also like fear to be like, I'm not gonna judge anyone, unless they're like Veshness or whatever. Like, I'm willing to believe a lot of people honestly have good to them, but you effing tried to kill me specifically, Takumi. So check this out. Very cool. Love Tsubasa. I don't have anything else to add about her. I like her quirks and stuff, but like, she's definitely a heart of the story. Like, there's not the deepest depth to her, but like, the game is better for having her in it pretty much at all times.
Yes. Okay, so I think up next for me is... We'll save Nozomi for a bit later, because she's in, like, your top tier, isn't she?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little bit harder. I think we could either go...
let's talk about Takumi.
Do you want to go with Takumi? We can do that.
Yeah.
Takumi, average man. Here's the thing. I don't even know if average guy really captures it. He sort of is average, but also his personality. He's the kind that he wouldn't like be active in his life for a while, and then when he was, like, he's the kind of guy he's honestly a little manipulative in general. He's so quick to like, okay, I'll convince people, and then I'll convince people to do whatever he asks me to convince them of, but even if it's like bad, like. He's surprisingly easy to make him go down dark paths, even if he is an empathetic sort of heroic person. Like, he's honestly not the hardest to sway to go down pretty dark roads, I find.
In a funny way, he's kind of a literal blank slate, in that like, he doesn't necessarily have as much in the way of like inherent leanings in him. He's, you know, just as much as he's like willing to manipulate people, he's also very easily manipulated himself and very prone to the events that have happened to him up until that point.
He's kind of like a weaponized, you know, I'm gonna use a weird example, but like characters like Sonic the Hedgehog who don't have there's other characters like this, just generic heroes who like don't have character development because they're sort of already perfect, but their goal, their part in the story is to change the people around them for the better, and that's how their narratives work. Takumi kind of is weaponization of that, where his power, his real ability is the ability to change those around him, but he himself has no like inherent ultimate goodness or whatever. It's whatever we decide to make him do. So like the story drastically changing like is his fault / our fault. Like he will be like, I'm really good at changing people. Watch this, Tsubasa, go die.
Yeah, he has like he does have some inherent desire. He has people he cares for, but through the vast majority of the story, his main it's interesting, his main motivation is just to go back to his peaceful life. To just kind of have things go back to the way they were before.
And wish things were easy and I didn't have to think much.
Yeah. And you drive a good interesting point of that. I have a new thing I've thought about when it comes to Takumi in the second scenario that I will really want to talk about later on. I think he's a really interesting main character. I think I don't begrudge someone for thinking he's like kind of generic. Because a lot of the stuff we talk about is fairly subtle. I feel like a lot of this stuff isn't really said outright. But there is a lot to him when you decide to actually, like, look deeper. I don't know, I think part of why I enjoyed him is there is a game that came out a few years ago, Neo: The World Ends With You, that I feel was kind of trying to do a similar character arc about, like, a character who, you know, doesn't really have much in terms of, like, his own concrete values or desires or drive, and it's about kind of him gaining that as the story goes on. But I just feel like Takumi is a much better execution of that, because I definitely feel like the main character of Neo: The World's End With You was still, like, very much nothing by the end of the story.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I will say, you know, it's hard to rank Takumi because it just really depends on the route. But, like, overall, like, he's trying to do his best, especially since most of the time we're seeing Takumi is post-100 days. Like, his main goal from then on is save Nozomi, get everyone out of here alive. I'm just trying to do my best. And you can bring it out of Darth's past, but 90% of the time, with some exceptions, like, he is doing his best. He doesn't make the best decisions, but he's like, this is just what I thought would help everyone, you know? I'm still trying to be the hero. There's a really good shot in, like, the zombie route. This is oddly specific, but, like, a zombie attacks and he, like, grabs a pole and stabs into their head to defend everyone. And he's the first person to fight back because for everyone else, it's just been a few days. For him, it's been over 100. He's been fighting a war. He's an experienced combatant and, like, a hero from the future. And he, like, puts this pole in their head in, like, the shape of, like, someone, like, holding up, like, a flag, like, for, like, their group or whatever. Like, he's like the warrior representing their cause. And it's, like, this hero, like, who's there to save them, but he accidentally arrived in the worst possible timeline where everything's going to crap. And it's, like, even in the worst-case scenario, he still has the potential to, like, be the only shining light that keeps things going at all. It's just, you know, assuming it's a good Takumi who doesn't suck.
Yes.
But so I enjoy that aspect of him.
Yeah, and you know, a connection I'm kind of just making now, because I'll definitely be talking about this later as well. I think that Takumi coming into his own and getting more drive as the story goes on is definitely supposed to be kind of paralleling the question that the game is kind of asking you as you go into that, you know, as you go into the freeform choice part of the experience, which is, you know, what is a happy ending to you? Like, because it's a decision the game is very much asking you to make.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's a cool parallel that as you're having to ponder your own values and decisions and what makes a happy ending, it's also, like, you know, Takumi is also kind of discovering through making these choices what is important to him. I do think there's an interest. There's another Jacob Geller video that was in my head a lot of this game, which is a video called Time Loop Nihilism. And while I wouldn't say, like, it's necessarily relevant in everywhere. I think it definitely I think it's definitely relevant for like certain choices.
Hmm.
Takumi obviously takes up a very, obviously Takumi does harden his heart a bit in the kill Eito routes.
Oh
Where there
yeah.
is kind of this just like, yeah, look, he hasn't technically done anything yet. I don't care. I'm going to, use my actions to mold this future into what I want it to be.
Yeah.
And
Special special attention to I think it's the choice where you have to decide to save last defense academy rather than second defense academy, and
oh
but special
yeah,
attention to this where you save Nozomi and she's like, why didn't you save the others? And to Takumi, like, well, aside from thinking the others would survive, he's just like, honestly, I never met Moko. To me, she's just always been dead, so letting her die again, like, that's sad, but like, it was a much easier decision for me to make. Like, I don't know what kind of person she
it's
is,
really interesting to think that everyone in if you, because here's another thing is a very important clarification to make for the uninitiated is that in when you complete a route in Last Defense Academy 2 and decide to go back and start another route,
Mm,
Takumi's memories from that route don't come back. He only
yeah,
has the memories
from
of
the
the
first
first
100
100
days.
days. So it is interesting to think that in that route, he like never met Moko at all.
Yeah. It's something to keep in mind when playing some of these routes that like we spent so much time with these characters, but like, Takumi doesn't know what we experienced.
Yeah, that
Um,
every time you start a new route is only Takumi's second time.
yep. You want to talk about? Let's go ahead and talk about Kurara. I put it off for a while. I think now's a good time.
Yeah. There's definitely more I want to talk about Takumi, but I feel like a lot of that will come with
From just the routes.
discussion, especially discussion of second scenario.
Yeah.
Um
So,
so yeah,
how do you like girl?
Kurara, I think she's a really good example of just like, I like her character. I think that her gimmicks are sometimes funny, sometimes they're not.
Hmm.
I do like her development in the romance route. She's
Hmm.
just she's just fun to have around.
I uh, I forgot to bring this up, but like voice acting differs slightly in both languages. For example, Gaku. A lot of people think Gaku's Japanese voice makes more sense and is better for him. It makes him a little less annoying. In this case, I don't know what Kurara's Japanese voice is like, but I really like her English voice acting. I think it's very like fitting to the character and enjoyable. And Kurara's really funny to me. Very just this cute girl who's got like all this power. And for reasons she states, she hides under a big tomato mask.
She's
But
a
it just feels
complete
more like
emotional wreck.
yeah, but she's like, this is a representative of like representing my family's whatever. But really, she's hiding behind it, right? Like it gives her strength and anonymity almost. But like, yeah, she's like a little baby under there, adorable, really like genuinely friendly and thoughtful underneath it all, but very powerful still. Like I know you've seen, say, the end of one of the zombie routes, the end of that zombie route where she's the last person standing, and then she just effing handles it by
Oh
herself.
yeah.
Absolutely awesome. But like when she's got the mask on, she's a little more like I don't know, mean. But like she still cares. It's sort of like Darumi. She's still the same person underneath there. She just hides it. Whether it's a good thing or not is obviously up to the person. But I feel whenever she's involved, she makes things more enjoyable, and she's cool. The problem is she can be more impulsive like this. She's smart. She's actually way smarter than you would think, but she's kind of impulsive. She'll get on the wrong side or make bad decisions or weigh people down because she gets in her mind like this is how we should handle this. First, this person's bad. We need to stop them. Takumi's untrustworthy. Lock him up. Like kind of
Yeah.
stuff like that.
I
Uh,
I definitely feel like she's one of those characters where one issue I have is like she can definitely reach a point where it's like, okay, I've heard you say this like exact same joke 10,000 times. It'd be nice if we got like a little more unique material for you.
Yeah.
I will say, her and Yugamu are both characters that have interesting backstories that kind of make you start like asking questions about the Tokyo residential complex. Because you're just like,
Yeah.
wait, Yugamu's an assassin. Kurara, you're a arms. Your family is like basically Lockheed Martin.
Yeah.
What need is there for like a private defense contractor in the Tokyo residential complex? Who's waging like private wars?
Makes you ask questions, doesn't it? And yeah, you should be asking those questions.
Yeah. I did think her section in the romance route was very sweet. It was nice to kind of see the like gradual breaking down of walls between the two. It's I think there is some interesting like class commentary as well with Kurara, and that like part of why she feels like she has to put these airs on and make herself like appear so much better than everyone else is because there's this like pressure from her family that she has to adhere to these like social and economic class expectations.
Yeah. She's always like saying like, you guys are lesser than me, I'm better, but she like genuinely doesn't seem to believe that, at least at certain points in the game. And certain routes for sure, she's just saying that and putting on airs, but she doesn't actually seem to believe it. Or she like learns better as it goes on, and it's like she's pretty cool. I think like character development, Kurara, who's like grown as a person, I would like to be friends with. I think it's a really sad thing that she can't live in the second scenario route and like see the truth.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder why it's Gaku instead of her who has to survive. I don't really see a reason for that.
Making me choose between Gaku and... It's so funny, the game has to tell you, pick Gaku. Like, I saw the future, pick Gaku or everything will go horrible. I'm like, if you didn't tell me that, you already know what I would have picked. Like, not Gaku. I don't know why they did that at all. But...
much like Gaku, Kurara is a character that can be very, like, selfish at times.
Yeah, but also more likable.
Yeah, it's...
One's poor, one's rich. Also, interesting dynamic there.
I do like, and I really like her friendship with Kyoshika. It is nice that, like...
Oh, I love it.
It is nice that there are just, like, little organic friendships that form throughout the cast.
I like her friendship with Nozomi, and how at least one route they beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
But like, I think they're nice. Nice dynamic.
I really like that arc between the two in the coming of age route where they have like the fist fight.
But they're such genuine friends. Like Nozomi can like in those weird like battles where Kurara's not alive, but you need artillery to take down the floating commander. And Nozomi's like, "Oh, I got this. Kurara showed me." And it's like, yeah, like Nozomi could just do the stuff Kurara can do because they just hang out and like shared that stuff, even in a small span of time. Like they become good friends really quickly. The only thing that's ever a sticking point in their relationship is Nozomi keeping a secret, which is like Kurara blows out of proportion. She's just like that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's explained as, like... It's explained in a decent way, I think. In the romance
but, like, she had a trainer or somebody who was secretly, like, was like a spy or something? I can't remember.
I think so. Because people would always, like, use her to try and get, like, secrets on the family.
Yeah. And it's like, if you're keeping one lie, then there's probably another and another, and it's like, I can't trust you at all. And it's like, it's obviously not like that. You got some stuff to work through, girly.
Yeah. I do like that whenever Kurara isn't around, you can feel like the echoes of her in a way. Just from the fact that like she had really genuine friendships with some of the characters.
I like that she has a big tomato head.
Alright. So...
Do you want to
Sirei.
go to Sirei?
Look,
Firing squad.
as you
I should have
see,
made that too.
I gave him a little unique tier because I have very specific feelings on him. I think Sirei is a very well written character that I hate. I genuinely hate him with every fiber of my being. I would argue like he is the most hateable antagonist in the game by far.
I joked about putting like an F tier, but yeah, he's just too interesting. But yeah, oh my god, does he suck?
Yeah, people who are not initiated, maybe like, oh well, he seems like just a little mascot character. He seems to have helped you in some routes, and that things went really bad when he wasn't around. We will get to why I hate Sirei later. I'm not going to comment really on him much for now. Just know.
You want to save that for when we get to
I'm saving that
route?
I'm saving that for when we have like a discussion on second scenario. But all you need to know is that I genuinely like believe Sirei should be put in front of a firing squad.
Needless to say, he's got secrets and he lies about so much. And anytime you catch him in a lie, he lies further. And his lies always sound like plausible or genuine or like thought was put into it. And sometimes a lot of thought was put into it. Way too much. And it's the most evil, cruel... You do the most evil, cruel thing imaginable, but disguise it as empathy. And it's like, that's...
Like, hot take...
He seems to genuinely have empathy, but just doesn't care. It's selective. It's very selective.
Hot take, I genuinely think he's more evil than Veshness.
Yeah, no, he selectively turns off his empathy for whatever is getting in the way at the moment. And it does the most cruel, unimaginable things to people who don't deserve it. So, yeah, F him. We can get more into that when we get to the roots. I want to go ahead and talk about Hiruko. And do you want to kind of talk about her in general, and then followed by sort of how we feel SF-wise?
I mean, how I feel about her in general and how I feel about her in SF are, like, kind of intertwined. I'm interested you put her in B tier.
I was more so like before and after. Yeah, so I don't dislike Hiruko. I don't. But, like... I don't know how to put this. So... I've seen characters like this in some of like Kodako's other works, like people who are really good at everything, and sometimes they're villains even. Hiruko's like an okay person, maybe even a good person, who's like really good at everything, has a lot of life experience, and like tries to share that and help people, and like disguises it as like bluntness and coldness. And she's also like killing monsters because she's good at it. And that's really cool. The problem is like, I don't know, the way it's presented and how I feel about her during the story, especially prior to SF, is just that, like, I don't know. I don't feel the depth. There's heart to her, but, like, I don't feel there's a ton of, like... I don't feel like she could sway much, like, at any point in the story, especially knowing more about her now. Like, there's, like, one exception. There's, like, one route where she'll, like, randomly, like, turn against you. But I don't know. She just, like... I genuinely don't know if I could put it into words. I guess I just don't find her as interesting as I hoped to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting. I do kind of feel a little similar to you. I do really, really like her as a character and as a person. She obviously has a lot of traits that are very much in line with my character tastes. But... you know, she's obviously a character that you don't really get to truly meet until later on. And I feel like in the slasher route, one of the few things I like about the slasher route is that one of the endings gives like a really compelling start to her character arc.
Oh yeah.
Which is the scene where like it's revealed, oh, Takumi's been possessed by a Gi this entire route. He's the actual slasher. And Hiruko, like, you know, it's basically, like, only minutes before the nukes start to launch, and then the world is, like, razed to ash. And she's just, like, chooses to comfort you in those last moments. And, like, doesn't... Yeah. And it's so out of line with everything that had happened up until that point, that it really made me like interested in her character. It's like, and I'm just really interested, like, what's going on with you? Because you're like a time traveler. You have memories from other routes.
Right.
So
You know,
what's
I thought about it. Sorry, I thought about it a little more, and I'm realizing the reason. So like, I would have ranked her higher. I think it's just like I would describe it as like character flavor. I think heart wise and like writing and stuff, I think she's actually one of the best characters in the game. And the more you talk about her, the more I'm like, I really loved X moment and that moment, especially with SF in mind. It's just I guess the characterization and like I don't know, the style isn't really my vibe. Uh like she I know a lot of people want to be stepped on by her and like her big axe, and that's cool and all, but like I don't know. Like I would be friends with her for sure, but like she's just not as like cool to me, I guess, if I would just like use a word.
mm,
Um but I like what you point out there.
yeah.
Like she's always thinking about you and the others. Like when she's got those memories and she's working to try to like save people, she's so caring. Like she's such a nice. Here's the thing: it's something I said earlier. I really like people who are nice and like kind and smart. Like they're an intelligent person, but they're also really caring. And that's like what she is, right? Like she uses all this experience she's got through her life to help everyone around her and just to try to sort out things that are happening for the best possible ending. And it just never works out for her, right?
Yeah, and I think part of what kind of makes it compelling with her is like, you get the vibe that like you are the characters in the story are basically the very first people that she has ever been able to get emotionally attached to. You really get
Yeah.
the vibe that in her backstory up until the start of the game, like she's good with dealing with people, but she never was someone who necessarily like cared for them on a personal level.
Can I say I think Hiruko is like the antithesis to Undertale, and what I mean by that is Undertale does a story where you can experience it in many different ways, but it's limited, right? Because the characters are fictional, you run out of like ways to experience them, and they
Yeah.
become numbers. You know, it's just a flowy situation. But in Hiruko's case, every time she experiences the world and these people, they're different. There's so much depth to them. There's so much backstory. There's so many feelings. Like they react different ways in different situations, and it never stops changing because they're real. And that, like, for her, who's good at everything, who's never really like thought that much about people, who doesn't have real attachments, who gets bored really easily, it suddenly opens the world up for her.
Yeah,
Like,
specifically, she's kind of like a reverse Flowey, specifically.
yeah, all these people are infinite, and she loves them,
And that
and
yeah,
she wants the best for them.
and that's what I was going to like go on to say as well, is that like it's so interesting. She's amazing at everything, but even though she's been going through this time loop for 40 years, you can tell
At
that
least.
she still hasn't gotten used to like the fact that she actually cares for this like group of idiots.
Yep.
And that's such a
I
like that's such a nice like human touch to her. Um and I like that that very caring is what leads to a lot of her flaws, and that
yeah.
she is I don't know.
She actually starts making more impulsive decisions, or like Takumi, because of it.
She makes some selfish and fairly like morally bad decisions throughout the story, all that are all like a consequence of her having formed an emotional attachment to the characters. She puts all of you in some really bad situations. You will find out as you go throughout the game. All out of this like desire to like protect everyone and make sure that everyone can survive. I mean, I do think it's a really interesting touch that like specifically she allowed for the stalker route to happen just so that she could ensure that she keeps that memory of like comforting you in those last days.
Yeah, you mean the slasher route?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really value that about her character. I how do I put this? It's like so it's interesting because she's both an interesting twist on like the sort of queen trope, you know, like the tsundere, like, oh, I don't care what she actually does, but also
Yeah.
she's sort of an answer to a major character from Danganronpa. There's a character who is really smart and good at everything, but that makes them value others less. The fact that they can do what others can, like with more ease, the fact that they see through them so easily makes them value other people almost to zero extent. Like they say they care and they might even genuinely, but they see others as like it's hard for them to empathize, and even if they do, it's like you would a dog. Like it's like they don't see them in any human way or value them at
Huh, which
all. And
character
like
is this?
it's sort of a spoiler for Danganronpa, so I can tell you later. Let's just say one of the main villains of that franchise, and leave it at that. But the point is, she's almost an answer to that. She's almost like, what if that person was put through a time loop war with a bunch of dumb idiots and realized like the meaning and the value of life and like decided to be better. And it's like someone like Hiruko easily could have turned into that character. They easily could have become like a bad leader in society or a detriment, or like started valuing people less, hurting others intentionally. And like this is like a situation where like she's actually like thriving, where like it's better for her that she's been put into this situation because she's like, oh, like I get it now. All of you, like, okay, I want the best for all of you. And that's something I really value. I really value that in general, especially in retrospect, looking at some of the roots and knowing what she's going through, but also SF, where you get to finally just work with her and try to like figure this out. And that's really cool.
I will say I do really like.
So I value her a lot. It's be ranked purely on flavor and nothing else.
Yeah, and I will say I don't
put her in A, to be honest.
I don't think she's my favorite like example of this type of character either. But I do think she's incredibly well written, and she's very, very layered. She's definitely a character that is meant to interact a lot with the more Uchikoshi side of the story, and I think she does raise a lot of really interesting questions and things that the viewer has to figure out for themselves. I will say another thing I do like. I like that they at least made her like a little bit of a dork. I like that they sometimes give her jokes that don't land. And so you get some of those moments where like Takumi is able to kind of, you know, fight back at her a little bit. It's nice. It's cute.
Yeah. No, I like that too. And I was gonna say, what was I gonna say? I literally just forgot. I forgot again. Oh, and now I remember. It's just like in the moment to moment, I don't find her the most interesting, like in the moment, but in the grand scheme, and especially in SF, I really like her character.
Yeah,
I think that's also part of it. It's not just the flavor. It's like in the individual moments, characters like Tsubasa or Kako or Kyoshika are really silly and drive things happening. But like in the grander scheme and behind the scenes, like Hiruko's the reason things are, as they are.
Yeah, and I definitely will say like I didn't put her in S because I do think in some ways she didn't necessarily completely live up to just how compelling that introduction to her was. But I do think overall she's still a great character and one of the best in the game. Just I feel like there could have been something a little bit more.
I feel like we should talk about the Flame Boy next. Do you want to keep calling him Flame Boy, FB, or his real name?
I mean, we can go ahead and just call him by his actual name now.
All right. Well, his name is Shion.
Yeah.
You find this out in one route, or maybe two, because of a little localization flub.
Yep.
His name is Shion.
He's one of my top 2 characters in the game. Fantastic.
I really like his character design. I like the way they introduce him. Like you're so curious about him, and the one time he really interacts with you in the illusory visual novel by burning your ears off. But
Yeah,
I like
Shion.
his ironically chill personality.
Yeah, Shion. He he's one of my favorite character tropes of the like pure-hearted good character in a dark, well, no, in just like a very morally gray, if not honest, like honestly, I think this world goes beyond morally gray, just like a morally black world in which
Yeah,
like
it's pretty dark.
he's kind of like the pure soul in this situation that is absolutely horrible, and that there's,
Innocent.
yeah, that's what I would describe him as. Like I think he's very much like an innocent character. He reminds me a lot of like Rousey from Deltarune, and I feel like the appeal there is very much the same.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's,
I see what you mean.
and here's the thing is like I actually think he's not utilized very well. I think he's actually utilized a lot worse than even a lot of the characters on the B tier. I just like him as a person that much. He's a character that it just feels like was put in the story to appeal to my tastes.
Yeah. I think it's just a cool, flamey, white hair anime boy who is cool to be around, and I like talking to him, and I want to be his friend more often. Let me be his friend more often.
I think that in some ways he definitely represents, like, I think just like Moko, him and Moko definitely feel like they represent a lot of the hope in the time travel aspect of the story. And that, like, these are two genuinely, like, good people that you're able to save, and that are kind of a shining light forward for you in the second scenario. He is someone who, I don't know, he, like as you said, he's fundamentally like innocent. He's not willingly part of what's going on.
In fact, knowing the truth of his involvement just makes it so much harder, honestly.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those characters that we'll have to revisit him when I'm talking about second scenario. It's really not that deep for me on him. He is a character that I really like. I do think that he is not utilized well overall, though, in the game. Outside of second scenario and coming of age, he doesn't really get much at all. He's basically absent for most of the routes. After the ending for the first scenario kind of hints, it makes it seem to the player like he's going to be a major character going forward, when no, he really isn't. And
it's really funny because there are like the few routes where he gets more involved not only tend to go better or just cooler, like like coming of age, but if you try to get him involved and then tell him no, you get a really cool split off of second scenario called the serial battle.
So you get a route that may or may not actually be punishment for doing that. It's,
I meant to bring that up, but in serial battles, like there's a fight where you have the brainwashed Eva meet another Eva, and it's just an interesting situation because brainwashed Eva is like, what's going on? And regular Ava's like, oh, so I've like been taken prisoner in this route. I have to put myself out of my misery. I wouldn't want that. And it's like she's even empathetic towards another person of herself, and I appreciated that.
Huh.
But that's only if you. It's only if you are mean to Shion. You shouldn't be mean to Shion. He's my baby boy.
Yeah, I like that.
He's also.
I like that in coming of age route. You give him the life that he wanted. It's very sweet. I do think in a lot of ways it's very thematically fitting. Even though I absolutely hate it for him, it's very thematically fitting that he's just kind of erased from the story at the end of second scenario. And that, like, you don't even really get a goodbye with him. He just, like, after a point is silenced.
Yep. It's second scenario's ending. There's a lot to say about it, and but I was
That
gonna say
like we could
I also
literally
think he
just record an entire podcast on second scenario's ending alone.
I think he just like Takemaru and stuff is a good like thermometer for like how dark the story is, because in the roots where it's darker or you do certain things, he's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah,
You
he'll
don't really
just
see him much, or he just feels distrustful in general.
and he'll
It's
just
like that's
stop
a good sign
interacting
that you
with
messed
you.
up. That's the game telling you messed up. You decided to kill. The characters don't trust you. Your new friend leaves. Like, yeah, you done messed up, gamer. You can see what happens though. We'll show you, but it's not gonna
Yeah.
be good.
And I'm trying to kind of work through like why I like these characters so much. And maybe it's just like I think these characters because it's also my favorite, I really like Rousey, but Rousey's honestly in a world that at least currently is a lot brighter and happier. But I think like who's my favorite character in Metal Gear Solid? Well, it's Otacon because
Of
he
course.
is this like fundamentally different presence to the rest of the like main characters. He's not a military guy.
Yeah.
He is this kind of hope for a more peaceful future and is acts as like a nice contrast to like Solid Snake. And I think that is what I really like about these characters is that when you place them in this darker world that they might not even necessarily be able to change. And I think that does just work as a nice like point of hope that even in situations that are really really horrible, I mean you can argue like our own world is one where there are horrible things going on every day and we're kind of powerless to change a lot of these things on an individual level, but it still shows that like even if you can't make those big changes, even if in these stories like these hopeful characters are powerless to fix everything, they still have value in like the small acts they do.
They make the people around them better. The world's just brighter with them in it, and they usually outcomes tend to lean better when they're there. With exceptions, but
much in a and it's kind of funny to mention Deltarune. It's to kind of quote like part of the game's marketing. It's like, yeah, there may only be one ending in store for these characters in this world, but like, there's more important things than just the ending.
The ending, yeah.
There's
in this case,
how
that and 100 endings.
It's how you treated people along the way, and I feel like these characters are the epitome of that.
Yeah. If you'd like, I think we can wrap it up by going Veshness and then Eito and then lastly our goat.
Yeah, I was gonna say to go to the absolute opposite character of
Yeah.
Eito, our boy.
Oh, you wanna go to Eito next?
Yeah.
Alright. Eito, my boy, he's such a good friend.
What a good...
He's just like, he reminds me of you,
What a
Carter.
great guy. Oh my god. It's funny. When I was initially playing the game, because he had all of those, like, happy-go-lucky friendship speeches, he's obviously, like, trying way too hard. I think I sent you a message when I was playing the first, 100 days, like, he's, like, a little Rousey-coded. What was your reaction upon seeing that, James?
Was that before or after the latest Deltarune chapters came out? I think it was before, because I think I was just like, man, you might not know the half of it.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know for sure at that point, but I was like, he's definitely got some things you don't know about him, that's for sure.
It's like,
oh boy.
The most incorrect read I've had on a character.
Incorrect, loud, incorrect buzzer.
Like,
I trusted him a weird amount. I know Kadaka's happy, and even Kyoshika are both happy to have someone who seems good. Just a 180 and be like, no, they were evil the whole time, and there were barely any hits for it. Like, I genuinely, like, I still fall for it occasionally, because I'm like, I both give the benefit of the doubt, and I like to believe there are like people who are trying their best. Like he had doubt, and then he was trying to be like a heroic friend. You know, like I wanted to believe that even with the big evil scythe and like Hiruko missing, I had other people I suspected. So it was like he's still on the suspects list, but like I'm willing to believe he is just a genuine guy.
I would say
Well,
I
my bad.
I started suspecting him a little later on, mainly out of, you know, law of conservation of detail, of just like, okay,
Yes.
we've had a lot of development for these other characters, we're still largely in the dark about you.
Yeah, I had a similar idea, but also some Danganronpas are like, if we're putting them in your face, they're probably not. You know, it's probably someone you didn't even think about could even be possible. In this game, though, he's in your face. He's like, they rub him in your face even. So it was like, I didn't think he'd be like that.
Yeah,
Just didn't think so.
So he is actually probably one of the most like complex and interesting characters in the story. I could definitely see myself having put him in S tier. And it's interesting because for so much of the game, they really make him out as this like awful, horrible, evil person. In fact, like there are specific endings that are put in the game to make you hate him. I think like particularly one of the endings in Coming of Age, where at the end, if you choose to take Nozomi's hemoanima and let her sacrifice herself to power you up when she's been wounded, like that ending like really makes you hate Eito. And you can just like, you can feel it in Takumi. Especially since like, once again, he got Nozomi to the finish line, and like she was killed at just the absolute last moment by the villain.
Yeah.
And like, but
did you play the multiple Eitos route, by the way?
I did play the multiple Eitos route.
Okay. I just feel like that's an important one to talk about.
And I just feel like it's genuinely impressive that they take a character like Eito and then manage to give him a redemption arc.
Yeah, Eito's interesting because, well, I think I know why he is like he is, which is that they keep thinking it's a defect. Like, it's not that it's a defect, it's that there's an anti-humanity faction on the satellite who interfered with the history making and the creating their backstories and made him like that.
They essentially,
knowing that,
sabotaged the project.
Yes, and knowing that the moment he finds out, like if he can find out about the truth of like his backstory is fake and his experience, like the way he sees the world is just like broken, like that really messes him up, because he was like, I thought this was a gift from God. I thought this was all based on reasoning and my personal beliefs. And it's like, yeah, there's perfectly valid reasons to hate humanity, especially in this game, for sure. But like the guys around you, like Takumi and the gang, like what did Kyoshika do to you, man? Like what the heck? And it's like there's routes where they like try to see if they can fix that. Like there's one where they try to brainwash him, but it just comes undone pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, I mean
but then there's a route
Coming
where
of Age, like, it never worked at all.
Yeah, now there is SF where it's just like, yeah, we have the brain fixie juice, so it's like a program we can fix your brain, and it's like I don't know why they don't try to use that more. Ignoring that for a second.
I have thoughts on the SF brainwashing that we will probably talk about at some point.
Oh, I'm not even talking about the brainwashing, because there's also the brain fixing USB you stick in and it fixes glitches in your brain, and it's like, yeah, that probably would have helped.
I think
it helps in other situations.
I think there's a very I don't know if it's intentional. I think there's a big thematic issue with them fixing his brain in SF, but then also going like, yeah, let's brainwash him a little bit.
Yes, no, I agree. Now, to be fair, I think an argument for that is, yes, you can fix his brain, right? So it's not you can adjust for the defect, which, to be clear, he wasn't like just born with it naturally. This was applied to him. It is a I guess the word would be like a what's the word, like a handicap given to him by these like terrorists, right, in order to make him hate people. But the thing is, he also has those memories. And the thing is, even if you adjust his brain so he doesn't hate the people around him anymore, those memories won't go away. Those really form who you are.
But
Which is why in like the Goodbye Eito route, even he's like, "Hey Sirei, can you give me some fake memories of being friends with these guys? Because that will give me drive. Like without those, like I'm just gonna keep being like this. I need to have memories where I care about them in the past, rather than just making new ones. Like I need to not let this color me so much." So I can understand having that. It's just, I don't know, them making that choice for him like that in SF is...
That's what I was going to say. I think a big part of it is, like, consent. Because you could argue that in Goodbye Eito, it's more about granting him the ability to imagine a better world and a better, like, for what, like, giving him the ability to, just imagine a better world, imagine a better possibility. You can see it as more of a, like, you can see it as kind of a, almost an analogy for going on, like, an antidepressant for the first time. In that it's not taking away anything from you. It's giving you another possibility that you can now pursue.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, to kind of go with the depression analogy, is it ethical? Would it be ethical to erase someone's memories of having ever been depressed? I don't think so. Like, no. I don't think that taking away, even if, like, someone has something that we would recognize as a mental illness, if something that is just hurting them, like, genuinely hurting them, I still don't think that it would be ethical in this situation to take their entire memories of having gone through that experience away.
I also think that SF Root's just interesting in that it's such an Uchikoshi functionality over form thing, where it's like, there are themes here, but the most important thing is the characters are just trying to deduce how to get out of this, like, above all else. So it's like, I think that's almost like, yes, we're willing to give Eito that and, like, let him grow normally, but also, like, we gotta sort this out. We gotta end this without anyone dying. Let's just brainwash him for now, and we'll, like, unbrainwash him later, but, like, for the moment, like, don't even think about it.
It's one of those things where it's like, I guess you could probably justify it if that route existed only on its own, but it's like, with the knowledge of second scenario and that he was able to change of his own volition in second scenario without being brainwashed.
Yeah.
You know, that really messes with that
There's
ending.
Definitely an argument I would make that we need a 100-line 3 that takes place after second scenario and SF, and it's like takes both of those into account, but that's a whole other tangent. I will say, I think multiple Eitos is just a good route to look at when it comes to Eito's influence on the story, because in that one, like, you let him live, and then he comes back and makes you suffer, and the hate just takes Takumi. He's like, alright, I should have killed you, now I'm going to. And Eito really takes advantage of that hatred when he becomes, like, in this hemo-anima and starts warping his view, and every ending from that point onwards is bad. Like, you can't fix it anymore. And it's like, Eito, like, almost sort of represents hatred in this story, just, like, not only is he completely hateful, even beyond, like, he can give rationale and reasoning all he wants, but it doesn't matter. Even without those things, he would hate us, right? And the moment you let him get into you, that's gonna warp you in an irrevocable way as well. Like, you've got to, like, slowly take him apart and, like, account for every little thing, and, like, show him, like, kindness and mercy, show him how the world could be, show him his brain is, like, you know, got these issues, show him the reason he's like that. Like, terrorists did this to you. Like, they warped your brain. They made you see the world this way. They gave you fake memories. Like, none of us, if we're in a bad situation, none of us are your enemy. We just want to live. And I think you should too. And it's like, he can live that life in the right circumstance, but outside of that, like his utter visceral hate and his intelligence, his conniving like ability to understand people and then make them suffer in the worst way is it's just cruel. It's a cruel joke, but it's also like he really just shows like I guess the malevolence of the world that the characters are dealing with, right?
Yes.
Even when they defeat the invaders or whatever, Eito is still there to make things bad somehow. A special note to the killing game route, where at least once he joins in and starts running the game, just because it'd be funny. It'd be lol. You thought it was over. It's not. Now it's my turn.
Yeah, and I will go ahead and say, like, Goodbye Eito is probably one of my favorite routes in the game. And I do think Goodbye Eito and Second Scenario really are helping push, like, one of the smaller messages in this game is that, like, no one is like, who we are is not necessarily inherent to us. It's very much shaped by our experiences and our decisions, and even, like, some of the most horrible people in your everyday life, you could have just as easily ended up in their shoes.
Yeah.
And I do feel like Eito is a really good character to illustrate that, showing that, like, him being a terrible person isn't inherent to him. There are paths forward for him where he can be better, he can learn, and he can grow. And it's something I do really appreciate about this game, partly because, like, at the end of the day, it definitely feels like a point is being made of, like, we can't let our... Eito is a bad person most of the time, but that's because of his decisions and not because of who he inherently is. We can't let ourselves dehumanize him, because if we start letting ourselves dehumanize him, then we are just going to start falling back on the same route that led to the dehumanization of the Futurans in the first place.
Yeah. And those are all great points. It's funny, despite how evil he is, I think people really easily love Eito, and they want to hug him like a little plushie. It's funny, despite how evil he is, he's also a very likable character, I guess, maybe because of his personality.
I think people also like him for the toxic yaoi.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe the only the only thing people like about Cult of Takemaru is that one piece of art.
Just in general, he's honestly he's kind of a Sephiroth character, in that, like, you kill him in the original timeline, and then he turns gay in the second timeline because of it.
Oh, Takumi, you don't understand. I already was gay. That's not... No, Eito, you don't understand. The terrorists implanted that in your brain. I was already like this, Takumi. I like Eito. He's my friend. Yeah. He wouldn't kill me.
I am kind of considering moving him into S tier, because he is such a just very important character, very central to the story, and just, like, I mean, we haven't really even talked about, like, the actual specifics of the Goodbye Eito route, but it's like when he chooses to, like, pluck out his own eyes, these things that he has said before and has used as, like, a symbol of his view on the world, and the things that justify, him looking down on everyone else and seeing everyone as evil. Like, he's literally... That is such a great, like, visual metaphor of him discarding his old worldview by any means possible.
Yeah, like, it's not just the fact that he plucked his eyes out, which sucks. It's, like, what that means for Eito specifically. Can I be honest? I literally forgot we hadn't talked about Nozomi yet.
Well, I also say, like, it is also I don't know if this was intentional, but it is also a fun, like, it's kind of a little fun, like, biblical reference in a way. Of there's that, very classic verse of, like, if your eye causes you to sin, pluck it out. It's better for your eyes to be like plucked out than for your whole body to be burned in hellfire. Which is, I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if I definitely don't know if it's not like I definitely don't know if it's completely thematically relevant, but it's just a nice parallel. It's a nice little connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. We just have like like four. It's sort of like we have four core characters in the story. You have Takumi and Eito, and then you have Nozomi and Hiruko. And it's like those four. You don't actually get a lot of scenes where the four of those specifically interact, but it's like interesting how the whole narrative revolves around them.
Okay. Yeah. So Nozomi.
Nozomi.
Because I saw that you put her in S tier.
Yeah. So I actually really like Nozomi. I will say, I could tell from the beginning. I was like, all right, this Karo character is really flat. They're doing something with that, right? Right? Glad that sort of was intentional. But yes, I'm a sucker for just genuinely good, kind characters who are put through the ringer and are still like that. Nozomi's like not an idiot. She's not brash. She is smart. She has medical experience. She has a bad backstory with her mom. Despite that, she wants the best and makes it for a selfish reason, mind you. Like, yes, she wants to help humanity, but she didn't join the others to be a hero. Like, she did it, for the reasons stated earlier. Like, she wanted to know the truth. She wanted to be someone who was, like, on the front line. She wanted to verify how things would go with Hemo Anima and what was up with the people. Like, sort of, like, a little mischievous and selfish, and she made that decision. And she's just otherwise a really good person. She's friends with everyone. She's always trying to do her best. She's one of the few characters that she's just empathetic to people really easily. She'll still make hard decisions, like, to kill commanders or whatever. So she's not a perfect, flawless person at all, just like anyone else. But of anyone else in the story, she's definitely like the moral backbone, right?
Oh yeah, and I think that's definitely the intention, especially with how she was the one who ended up she's the one who's the reason for Takumi's whole character. She's the reason why he fights both in the first 100 days and in the second 100 days. It's I think that she has a massive thematic relevance, and honestly,
There's a lot I could say about her. I think
this is a very I know this is becoming a repeated thing with me. I kind of feel like I could put her in A or S tier.
I'm honestly surprised you have her in B. It's easy to forget a lot of her high points.
Yeah, I think it's partly because she gets surprisingly less play in a lot of the routes than you would think, since she's such a central character. Honestly, I may have to put her in A tier. I'll think about it.
Nope, no changing it at this point. It's solidified. This is what you've done.
But yeah, no, she has some high points. She really, I think it's very significant that she specifically comes around in support of the Future Ends.
Yeah.
Given that, she is a character that even though she's even though she's, very much a good person, in a way, she is a lot more culpable for what's going on than everyone else, given that maybe we can go ahead and say she's the only human in the cast.
Yeah, I want to say of all the binaries, character contrast you can have in this game, I think she's the representative of being the opposite of what Sirei is. She represents, the best of humanity. She isn't perfect, she's a person, and she shares blame for the things she does, but she's literally just always a guiding light, trying to be better, trying to care about other people, and, putting others before herself. And, and that includes, she'll happily disown humanity and be on the side of the Future Ends if it must be that way, because just freaking humanity sucks in the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She again, not perfect, but like close, probably the closest you can get. Very kind-hearted person.
And man, we're probably like what 4 or 5 hours into this podcast. I still haven't mentioned the thing that I am most excited to talk about with
What's
this
that?
game, and I'll go ahead and kind of start talking about it.
Mhm.
But there's a certain reading of this game that I have that I've been a little
Mhm.
coy about up until now. I've told you about it personally, but I haven't mentioned it in
Mhm.
this podcast because I want to save the meat of it for the
Second scenario, yeah, I know what
yeah,
you're talking about.
yeah, for the second scenario and post tier list discussion. And that is that I largely see this game as being a lot of people, are obviously seeing like, oh yes, this is a game about war and how bad it is. I would like to go a step further and say that this game is largely about imperialism and specifically Japanese Showa era imperialism and the like really horrible things that Imperial Japan did in China and Korea um, before and during World War II.
I see.
And
That's like the early to late 1900s, yeah.
yeah, and I see Nozomi as like specifically representing um the individual within the individual who was born in and is part of an imperial power who consciously like makes the decision to go against it and
Yeah.
discard national ties for a greater sense of humanity. And even though
Mhm.
it is coming at a gigantic cost to them, because it's for a lot of the people who go down this path, it is quite literally like changing the foundations of your world,
Mhm.
to do the right thing. And it is like what leads to some of the like morally better endings in the story, I feel.
Yeah. Pretty much anytime Nozomi's like, assuming she's not affected by Gi, but pretty much anytime she's like, we should probably do this. You should probably listen to her.
Yeah, and I do think it does. I do think in a meta sense, it's all. I think it makes it almost like karmically justifiable for her to get in hot water due to her secrets in a lot of the
Mm.
routes. Not necessarily in a character sense, because the characters are distrustful of her for different reasons. But it's
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, she is like kind of a little more morally her hands have a little more blood on them technically with her being a human, and that she is
She
kind of working in support of this project that she knows about.
Well, she doesn't know the specifics of it, and she learns a lot during second scenario. Like she didn't know pretty much most of that. Now she did know some things for sure, but like half the reason she joined at all was to figure out what's going on, and she figured at the end of the 100 days, like they'd finally be able to sort things out. She also like knew like, hey, they're about to send all these like kids to fight. Like I'm going to support them. If no one else is going to, I'm going to do it. So like, there's definitely like something on her hands, but like the fact that she makes that effort as an individual, I think
Yeah,
speaks pretty highly about her.
she's a
Um,
very very good person. I think she's definitely meant to be
also,
one of those shining lights in the story.
I also think they do a good job with something Kodaka has done as well, but other stories. So they have this like really good, like kind girl who's just like smart and good, like imprint on the main character and give them like a path forward, be the shining light. But then often they just die and like I will live in your memory or whatever. I'll carry on your legacy. But she continues living. She continues being an active part of the story, which is honestly kind of a hard thing to write, in my opinion. That she's like stays relevant pretty much throughout the thing. Now she does eventually die at the end of the 100 days, and you try to carry on that legacy. But then even other Nozomis are still Nozomi. Like she carries on in those other stories. She can conflict both with you and the things her past self did, or like
I mean,
her other timeline self.
she's such a good person that like her innate goodness ends up like kind of suppressing the gi during certain
Yeah,
routes.
Oh yeah, the Gi is like she's so good. It's actually really hard to do this. Sucks. It still ends up doing some horrible things, and it takes advantage of her kindness and nature to trick people. But like,
But
it
also,
has a much harder time of doing it for sure.
it's like the Gi route, like one of the endings is like just straight up the Gi stays behind to comfort Takumi as they're all like nuked instead of leaving with the other people.
Mhm.
Which
Which
like
like crazy.
that's not a decision the Gi would have made if it
Yeah,
wasn't
not
for
at
like
all.
Nozomi's brain patterns having affected it.
Like literally such a good person, like a demon like possessed her and was like, "Oh crap, wait a second. I'm feeling empathetic? What? What's happening?"
Yeah,
Uh,
and I
I
do
think
like
it's
that
awesome.
they still make her a little flawed. She has her moments of selfishness.
Mm.
She has her moments of where she
Yeah.
makes bad decisions, but it's I think that just helps round her out and make her feel very
Yeah.
realistic as a person.
I really like the ending of second scenario and what they do with her in that moment.
Yeah,
Just having her sort of represent humanity being better. And like Sirei like trying to be like, "Oh, I got the brain patterns of everyone." So I'm like, everyone agrees and it's like, well, first of all, just getting a bunch of masses together isn't always the best idea anyway, because masses aren't individuals. They can't, you know, like thoughts and feelings and stuff on a grand scale aren't
yeah,
necessarily representative of the best outcome or the smartest or whatever.
and
But
I do.
also just like she's just able to see through freaking BS pretty easily. Like Sherry will just say stuff that's just the most evil thing ever. But normally like Nozomi's intuition of what she wants to do is always like way more righteous
Yeah,
or
and
will lead to a better outcome.
I do think Nozomi is kind of meant to be like that. She is very much supposed to be that small spark of hope at the end of
Yeah.
second scenario because like the ending of we'll touch on this second scenario. Funnily enough, is the bad ending to the game. It is also the main ending to the game.
Yeah.
Canonically, like one of the worst and saddest endings is the one that is closest to being canon.
Yeah.
And is very much like meant to be like these are the consequences of imperialism. These are the consequences that Japan went through because of the horrible
Mhm.
things it did. And Nozomi, I think, is supposed to show that like but hey, like you can always make that choice to be better.
Mhm.
You can make that choice to choose a better path forward. And at the end of the day, that might be the only path that like leads to survival in this situation.
Yeah. I like how emotionally mature she is. She's really good at like whenever she and like Takumi like talk, they could so easily have written the most like generic like girl boy love interest like hero dialogue, and they don't at all. Like they have the most human like normal like trying to get through those conversations ever, where they just like
Yeah.
talk about how they feel and stuff, and it's super good. They also easily could have made it a generic romance, but like some roots are just like Takumi, I don't
Yeah.
particularly feel one way or another about Karuha or
I,
Nozomi. And then other, she's like, of course I love her. It's obvious. It's like whether you like her or not, like, is up to you, honestly. But no matter what, she's always like trying her
yeah.
best.
Now, yeah, I
Like you
will
have to
say
put her in a pretty desperate situation for her to lose her cool, like say the end of the slasher route.
at the end of it, I still wouldn't put her in S because I feel like she does suffer from you do really good in first scenario, you get a lot in coming of age as well, but I do feel kind of like even in second scenario, her relationship with Takumi feels a little rushed.
I know what you
Um,
mean.
but yeah, those are my thoughts on Nozomi.
Hmm.
Now talking about silver-haired women who are morally correct in all ways, Veshinus.
So Carter, we took a little bit of a break. It was a long recording session.
Yep.
We're back. We adjusted our tier list slightly to account for our newfound opinions on Nozomi and Hiruko.
Yeah, and yeah, we took a
Um,
little break of like over a week.
a week. Yeah, they don't need to know that. They don't need to know that. But
It was a
anyway,
whole saga.
v- Veshness.
Yes, Veshness. So
Carter has got some opinions about her.
well, I mean, I have her in the only tier that you could possibly put her in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, let's go for that.
well, since you were less enthused about her, I'd like to go ahead and have your opinions on her because you had her at let's see, B tier, right?
Yeah. So to be clear, I don't dislike Veshness. I actually think she's a really good villain. I think more often than not, they do a good job of making her kind of threatening. There's just an inherent flaw that you're gonna fight her like 100 times, and at some point it's like, all right, Veshness, you think you stand a chance against me? Okay, whatever. But like lore wise, and like characterization wise, I think they did a great job with her. I think most of the time she feels like a true threatening final boss. Her beliefs and stuff are pretty consistent. Her transformation just looks really cool. And yeah, like so occasionally she just straight up wins. She even gets her own little route. And you're a big fan of that one. I can't remember what route it is, but they go more into the background of like why the commanders and Veshness are like that, how she got into power, and like her like how she got into power over the Futurans and like her ideology. And I do think it's pretty interesting and makes sense and makes her a little more terrifying that someone so like self-centered could gain that position. But I think she's pretty cool. Random question: how do you feel about that blue strand in her hair? I feel like it should be red, right?
I I am fine with it. I think it's like tasteful enough as like a design decision.
I just realized Ava, and Kamyuhn all have that strand in the same place. It's just different colors.
It's not
And
just
also,
it's not just Ava and Kamyuhn as well. It's also Takumi.
well, I was gonna say Takumi has it also, but it's like it's blue and it's facing the opposite way. I was wondering if that was intentional, but I was like, oh no, they just all have it. It's crazy. It's really cool.
I don't know if there was
Um,
supposed to maybe be like a twist with that. But who knows? That's something we could talk about all day.
Yeah.
But
So what about you?
well, James, they did it. They finally did it. Um, I am very much I'm very much a guy of the persuasion of I don't want to fix her. I want to make her worse. They finally made someone that I see and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think I could make her worse. Maybe I would like to help her be a little better, cause
That's awesome.
yeah, you mentioned her backstory. I do really love that in her backstory. It's just kind of like, no, she's always been like this. She beat like the former leader of civilization at the age of 6 somehow.
Yep. I love how that's just like never specifically elaborated on. I don't no clue how she did it. I guess she just found a way around his defenses.
She is just simply her. She
She
just did it. Yeah, so
She's going to be the new god.
I really ended up loving my time with Veshness. Her ranking being so high is mainly because of the Veshness route. There's definitely she gets a lot of. We can talk about it later, but she definitely has a lot of very samey appearances in other routes.
Yeah.
And honestly, yeah.
But in that one, she bears it all. You get to see other sides of her.
That sure does happen. And I will say, like, before playing second scenario and before playing the Veshness route, I was honestly just kind of like, wow, you really are just the paragon of fraud, aren't you? Because,
Yep.
let me tell you, the game keeps treating her as this huge, massive threat. She loses against everyone. It's so funny. I'm pretty sure, like, she loses to, like, what, a single Gi in one of the routes?
Maybe, yeah.
You and Kyoshika both just, like, go ham on her in one route. Literally in her own route, in her own focus route, she gets, like, backstabbed by someone, like, and that does it. It's really funny. Yeah, no,
There's like several routes where she gets backstabbed by someone and dies. Or gets absorbed.
So yeah, no, she is absolutely a fraud, and I think that kinda just makes me like her even more, because like there's this very obvious gap in like how competent she is in like the narrative versus how she like perceives herself, and how much the game like wants you to see her as a threat.
Well, it's also funny because, you know, to us all playing through all the endings, it feels like she keeps coming back. Like, we beat her and then we see her again. But also, during some routes, she does continually appear again and come back. So it's like, you're seeing her all the time. She's like, you're going to regret it. I'm the best. And then we just beat her. Next route again.
Yeah, it's...
Alright, Pumpkin. You're doing great. Keep it up.
Yep, maybe you'll get there one day. But yeah, it's something about like her delivery and just the way her character talks and like emotes, something just like really hooked me on that, and I think she's like a really fun villain. And it's funny because usually I am not a huge fan of these types of villains that are kind of like, you know, under any other circumstance, you're right, but we've just, but, like, the writers have deliberately made you, like, a horrible person, so that so that we don't have to, like, actually think about the ethics of the plot, and we can just go, like, ah, yes, even though you have a point, even though you, are technically, like, of the correct philosophy, like, you're still, like, a personally bad person, so we can just not think about it that much. But I think maybe where the reason why I'm okay with it in this one is because, like, the game doesn't use it as an excuse to dismiss out the ethics of the situation. She's right in a lot of the things she says, and the characters do have to contend with it. You know, and there are many endings where it's like, even though we beat her, like, that's not the end. We still have to contend with either humanity or, you know, the omnidirectional strike system or the survivors of the Futurans that are still left. And,
you know,
I feel like...
Go on.
I feel like Veshness, what she really represents is, have you ever heard of this book called The Wretched of the Earth?
No, I haven't.
Okay, it's been a long time since I have read the bit of it I did, and I only ended up reading, like, a chapter or two, but it is kind of one of those, like, books you read if you're getting into, like, post-colonial studies. It's definitely one of, like, those foundational texts that everyone who's, like, in this field has read. And it is basically a lot of it is kind of talking about, like, anti-imperial and anti-colonial, like, resistances. And what, like, at least from what I remember, I'm probably going to be, like, bungling these ideas a little bit.
A bumble like a bee.
It's... This idea of, like, the wretched of the earth is that, when a colonial or imperial power ends up dehumanizing, you know, a population they're subjugating, and just, like, literally not treating them as human, something that will eventually happen, and it's something we see like with a lot of conflicts today, is eventually that population that's being subjugated is eventually going to go like, okay, you're not treating me as human, so what reason do I have in the first place to abide by any like human sort of ethics? You know, if
Yeah.
you're going to treat me as a monster, why don't I just go ahead and become that monster if it means that I have a better chance of surviving and fending you off? And
Yeah.
that's how I see that in a lot of ways. Like that's how I see Veshness, because we get that backstory, and she very much wants to present it to us as she has always been this kind of ubermensch type figure. She's always just been different. She's always just been like better than everyone else and more powerful, and that is what like
Mm.
made her able to rise up in the world. But it's, I think there's this very much unsaid. You can read between the lines in her dialogue and very much see that like before that necessarily happened, in those first 6 years of her life, she did first have to see the
Yeah.
way the world worked. She had to see that the
It.
traditions that Dalsha was abiding by weren't working for him, and
Yeah.
that's why she adopted this mindset of, well, I'm just going to attain power by any means necessary and do
It's very
whatever
similar.
you have to do
Yeah,
to
it reminds
survive.
me of. If it reminds me of your Virgil Devil May Cry, that like traumatized into like wanting power to protect yourself and like continuing to amass that forever until like to prove you're the top dog, so you can never take, bad stuff from anyone ever again, and that trauma just stays with them forever. And now you've got an adult like Vestinus who's like, I'm the most powerful. I'm God. I'm gonna keep becoming more powerful. You're all beneath me. I'll slay you all. And it's like, all right, I don't know how to fix it at this point. You needed help a long time ago.
Yeah, and I find like I find the little subtleties of her so interesting, because there's a lot there when you stop to like dig into it. Particularly when
Yeah.
she talks about like, oh, I killed my parents because they tried to instill these ideals in me, and so I had to kill
Wow.
them to like fully leave those ideas behind. And to me, like I kind of wanted Takumi to like confront her over this. I kind of wanted him to be
Yeah.
like, did you really have to do that? Like, wouldn't a truly powerful person be able to just walk away from those ideas? It seems like you're like more affected by people than you might realize.
Well, that would require Takumi to be more confrontational. But yeah, you're right. Like there's holes in like Vestin's belief system that like could be tackled more. Like hypothetically, if there was an additional like branch of the Vestinus route, like I feel like something like that could happen. It's just like it's not something we prove to see, and it's a very unlikely scenario to happen for sure. Um, I like the way she like views her view on hope is pretty interesting too, because she
Yeah.
starts seeing like Takumi that way. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say her hope or like vision of hope is really tied to like power, like she mentioned before, like the ability to like fight and choose your own path and have the strength to like do that is something like she values, I think.
Yeah, and
Um,
I do really
which
like
is why she sees herself above others.
yeah, and I do like her breakdown of like what is hope. It is you know, literally doing that which is impossible.
Yeah.
Um and I think that's a really really interesting thematic through line throughout the story, particularly because I really really like the ending where you and her end up like dying in that forest together, because I really do
Mhm.
see that as Takumi kind of winning on the terms that Veshness had set. And that Takumi ends up like making Veshness not just like show mercy, but also like
Yeah.
end up protecting another person, even though it's completely for selfish reasons and not for
Oh,
like
absolutely.
anything that she could ever really like understand. He still got her to like change in this like tiny tiny way, which I would very much say as that some yeah, Veshnis is one of those characters that up until that point, the game wants you to think that she is just this inherently evil person who cannot and will not ever change. And so it is, in a way, like, Takumi, in that ending, he accomplishes the impossible by making that change. And
and all it took was betraying Tsubasa's trust and trying to sacrifice her life.
All it takes is making a really, really dumb decision.
Yep.
But yeah,
I find it interesting that Kodaka keeps finding new. I guess he may not have written this one by himself, but I find it interesting that I keep finding, after like 3 or 4 Danganronpa games, they're finding more and more ways to define what hope is and what it means, and it's like, man, there's another one coming out too. Gosh darn it.
Well, and I mean, I think it's also like, I think there's a lot there's a lot there of like, if you're kind of seeing Veshnis as a manifestation of certain parts of anti-colonial resistance, like there is a lot there, particularly of like, hope is doing literally what is impossible. I mean, if you think about like back to the Vietnam War, the idea that like the Viet Cong were able to push back the US, which at that point was like one of the most, well, actually not one of the most, like pretty much the most powerful military power in the world, being able to fend them away, that was something that would have been seen as being impossible. A lot of times, if you are resisting an imperial power as, an indigenous people, you are doing something that, at the very least, in the moment, feels absolutely impossible. And that, I do think it does kind of show a really interesting angle to hope.
Yeah, and I also think Veshnis and Dulsha just still have that like warrior mindset where they do like, they see the value in that, even if like Veshnis thinks it's all beneath her, but like she still is like you fighting back is like impressive. Of course, she also like, whenever you do beat her, she's like, it's really pitiable that I would lose to people like you. It's actually like kind of annoying. So I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't even know how much more I have to say about that. I'm sorry, this is a tangent. I have something I've been wanting to say for a while. It's kind of dumb, but I just remembered it and I have to bring it up.
Is it related to Veshnis, or?
It is, actually.
Okay.
When I was first playing the game, I doubted Eito. I think I mentioned this before. I doubted Eito could be the villain, and one of my fan theories for who the true traitor was like, oh well, Veshnis has a red eye. I think red eyes are tied to these invaders. I think if someone has red eyes, they're probably got that emo anima in them. So I thought Gaku was secretly like evil or something.
Okay.
Thanks, Veshnis, for making me distrust Gaku. This is Veshnis' fault, not mine.
I mean, I don't think you really need
Hiruko
Veshnis to make you distrust Gaku.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, all I'm saying is, if we had given Gaku like I was gonna say a gun. He already has a gun. Give him like a Glock, and Veshnis is no more. We've beaten her.
Yeah. And so I think like one last thing with Veshnis. There's another parallel I do see with her. I believe I've talked with you about this before. Is that I do see in Veshnis kind of a historical parallel to when you have, an anti-colonial resistance. What happens a lot of times is these are movements that need a lot of people. These are movements that need basically everyone they can get in society to fight back, which means that you're not going to have everyone be on like the same page as to what a post-colonial society is going to look like for them. And so that means you're going to get a lot of people who have very different like political leanings.
You get, especially in Veshnis' case, you get groups that really don't want to participate in that, like Kamyuhn's old area.
Yeah, and historically, what you get a lot of times, especially throughout like the 20th century, is in a lot of these types of resistances. I think a really good parallel would also be like, the Irish, and their kind of fight against, England, is you'll kind of get like two major factions. You will get a like progressive, often socialist side to the resistance.
Hmm.
And a lot of times you will also get a like you'll a lot of times you'll end up getting like either a very conservative theocratic side or even so much as like a fascist side within the resistance. Um,
Yeah,
and obviously
the
like
like
those two groups,
desperate.
yeah,
Yeah,
you've got to basically
desperation.
have all hands on deck. So it's not like
Yeah,
you're going to be refusing anyone who's showing up with a gun and is being like, yeah, I'll help you fight. And I do really see Veshness as being part of that more like fascist leaning side.
yeah. I think the game supports that idea, and like it does like push that idea that like yeah, desperation pushes people to like bad places, and Veshness was both a like a is a symptom the right word, like just a symptom of that, and also was just like held up by, they were able to advance as far as they did because of that situation. And it's very clear that like the writers of Hundred Line like did either just through their experience or research on historical like wars and awful tragedies that have happened in real life, like took inspiration from those things for the situation posited in this game. Of course, we'll probably talk more about that later, but just yeah, it really ties into Veshness a lot. Like her role is really important, and the fact that like she exists at all and is like what she is, like it's easy to joke about her and stuff, but like she is like an important core aspect of this game, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like at the very like, and I do like that they made her like a genuinely kind of charismatic leader. Like I could see like being like a Futurin who's had like my entire family get blown up in one of the strikes from the satellite, and hearing her
Well,
just be like, "We're going to do the impossible and like bring that satellite down." It's like, yeah, I would probably feel like some hope, knowing that there was someone like that, fighting against the humans.
oh yeah, it's really funny in the killing game route. You guys were slaughtering people in mass, and they're like, Veshness is like, yeah, not everyone was on my side, but after you started murdering people like crazy, everyone agrees now that we have to kill you.
Yeah,
And you're like, oh,
and yeah,
oops.
man, we will talk about the killing game route eventually.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
I just
we,
I and the thing that and I brought up Ireland because like there's a film that like really was in my mind when I was thinking about Veshness. It's a really good movie I'd recommend to anyone called The Wind That Shakes the Barley. And it's kind of about those ideas I was just talking about, how like within people's revolutions there are like different political ideologies within those like revolutions that you're going to have to contend with. And it's mainly about with like I believe the IRA and its fight against England, and how there was a a more socialist side and there's a more nationalist side, and eventually when after Britain kind of started calling things off, that's when things started to break down between the two groups, and it kind of goes into the way that the like nationalist philosophy and mindset kind of diverges from the more like socialist and progressive mindset. And I think it does a really good job at like showing why people get involved in that, and why people would get swept up into the more nationalist mindset, because like at the end of the day, fascism and nationalism, they are very much vibes based ideologies. They work very much on saying things and making arguments that intuitively feel right to a lot of people.
like
Whereas
they're reactionary, and they feel like common sense, but like common sense is not always right.
and that's why they rely so much on like a charismatic leader, because it's more about getting you to feel a certain way rather than
And Veshness is really good at that, stirring up the hate and powering herself up too.
Veshness really makes me she makes me feel a lot of things.
But You know who's
and
Carter?
I
We
would
can't keep talking about Veshness forever.
one more thing, because I do want to say a few last things on her route.
Oh boy. All right.
I mean,
Wait, we're gonna talk about her route.
Well, there's like a little last thing. It's just
Okay.
The Veshness route. You know, we will talk about it a little later, but specifically, I just really like. I really like stories where the main protagonist is like kind of captured by the villain, and the villain doesn't, and then the villain just kind of proceeds to be like, hey, let's just like talk, like you're not a danger to me, so like let's just see what's going on with you, and you get to have like conversations and find out how they tick and where like the dividing lines and like your philosophies are. And I just
think it was
really like
interesting for Veshness to be that kind of character.
Yeah, and I really like those, but we'll get into that more on the Roots tier list. Now,
yeah, because right now, Carter, we have to talk about the even better girl with a sword, the best girl, even maybe perhaps the most powerful character in all of fiction. Our girl, Kyoshika Magadori. Everyone, please stand and give your applause. We're waiting.
Give your applause with the 2 arms you have.
Yeah, 2 arms, as they say.
So is this just a you thing,
a
or
little bow? I'm sure other people. She says like 2 arms so much, it sounds like she's saying 2 arms. Like, thank you. I'm definitely gonna have that like in the picture on screen. God,
like
she's
like
peak,
the
I'm
number
afraid.
2 arms.
Yeah, it's peak, I'm afraid. Nothing else to say, Your Honor. Let's move on to the next tier list. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, Kyoshika's great. She is just so obviously like... James, I'm gonna go ahead and say something about her. I think out of all of the characters in this game, if there's anyone I just could hang out with for an afternoon, it probably would be Kyoshika. I think she'd be the most fun person to hang out with.
Oh yeah, like she's just really funny and dumb. Like I was about to joke, like I don't know if I'd survive hanging out with her because I feel like she'd like plug a toaster in upside down or something and get us killed, just from like lack of life experience. But like she's such a homie.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
she's got the drip on. She's got a cool samurai sword hubby. Like she's epic.
I feel like hanging out with her would more just be like listening to her yap for like 3 straight hours.
Yeah, and just like explaining like basic concepts to her, like math. Have you like looked at her like her clothes like closely? I got the art book and like looked, and it's like her like red like cape or whatever you call it is just it's really funny. In the art book, it does specifically say that she's a samurai ninja / ninja samurai, and she's just got like, you know, the outfit on, but then she's got sneakers, just regular like modern sneakers, and then her like cape is like got a Sailor Moon parody on it, and she's got the Holy Jumanji sword, you know, the goat.
Like I love that she is just an actual weeaboo.
She's just a complete weeb, and when it's so funny though because culture has been so lost in the satellite that when Takumi meets her, he's like, wow, she looks like a genuine samurai, like in the history books. It's like, oh my god.
I also like that she's a ninja
wonderful.
samurai because she doesn't know the difference between the two.
Yeah, they're the same thing. It's so funny. She learned everything she knows from manga, or sorry, as she pronounces it, manga, and it's just really good. It must have been. Just her shonen brain is just glorious. I love it. God, all the like, first of all, like playing as her in gameplay is fun. She just uses 2 swords because that's awesome. But like, just in like the social interactions, she's really funny. She provides levity to everything, and I just feel like, you know, she would just handle any situation somehow. Like story scenes where she dies or whatever, I feel like someone put in a cheat code because there's no way to defeat Kyoshika. I don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's so much that's great about her character. I really, really, I like that. Even though she can't tell you what 2 plus 2 is, she's probably one of the most emotionally healthy characters in this entire game.
Oh yeah,
It's like
like
I think there's something to say that like almost every other character, like, you know, lots of other characters have their like fatal flaws, they have their core like they have their core conflicts, and for a lot of them it's like, you know, Shouma is like completely incapable of like thinking anything positive about himself. Eito is Eito. Darumi has this wall that she puts up, you know, between her and everyone else with this like kind of fake character she's putting on. Kyoshika is literally just like, yeah, I was kind of lonely when I was a kid, but like that's all
yeah.
cool now because I have everyone at
I have
here now.
friends.
Like,
Yeah. She says she wants like a family, and it's like such a normal, like, and wholesome thing to want too. And she's like, but she already like has all these people she loves and like wants to take care of and fight for. It's like she's in such a good place. Like, you can't not love Kyoshika. Like, I can't see. It's so funny when like Kurara, somebody gets onto Kyoshika, because it's like it's for like little dumb things, but they just don't hate Kyoshika. Everyone loves her. She's
yeah,
cool.
no one like besides Eito like has anything bad to say about her in like a serious
Yeah.
sense. Um,
Yeah.
but like,
It's to see she read Naruto and now she's a better person for it. Everyone watching this, listening to it, go read Naruto. This you'll become like Kyoshika for real.
you know, like it makes so much sense that she's specifically a Naruto fan as well.
It's so funny. She references random anime occasionally, like Dragon Ball and Naruto, and that one odd JoJo reference. But it's like,
I'm pretty sure she lists like, she doesn't say him by name, but I'm pretty sure Naruto is like one of her specific like crushes.
oh yeah, she
Which,
says so in like her social links.
I'll also say it's really, really funny that it's Naruto she's crushing on and not Sasuke.
Oh yeah. I think she's kind of plain in that way. She just kind of goes for the main character, or like the main, like, most normal things. I think that kind of adds to her though. I think that's because she doesn't have like, how do I put this? It's probably not she doesn't like the other characters, doesn't dislike the other characters, but more like she doesn't have other people, like, you know, counterculture, like other opinions, people being like, well, I like the rival, you know, like, this other character is my favorite. To her, she just likes it all, and she really likes the main character, and she just likes the story. You know what I mean? Like, they might as well be real people to her.
She
if
plays
anything.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z and picks the team of all Gokus.
Yeah. Like, she values like things like just genuine, just romance, and, you know, plain stuff like that, and that's like fine because she doesn't have that stuff in her life. You know, it's like, so in some senses she's actually pretty plain, but she's like a really fun person with a wacky, bit of a wacky. Well, you know, she's not wacky. She's right. The Holy Jumanji Sword can talk, and we all know it.
I mean, it literally
heard
can somehow. I don't know if it's a Hemo Anima avatar.
Something
but,
something Hemo Anima. That or Takumi was losing his mind, but I believe her.
I mean,
I don't know
if you
why,
have
but
to
she's
spend,
telling truth.
If you have to spend a whole month with her, you probably are going to lose your mind at some point.
Yeah. Let's not talk about the things she does with that sword, but I don't know. I just, yeah, you're right. I would just want to be friends with her. She's awesome.
Yeah, like genuinely would love to just like hang around with her and have her like ramble to me about like ancient Japanese like samurai history.
Yeah. Can I say, she's got an actual sword, and you like learn in some routes like, oh, there's some things that can't be damaged with Hemo Anima, but a real weapon can do it. And I'm always just like, use the Holy Jumanji sword, use the Holy Jumanji sword, and they never do.
They never
Whether that be zombies or guys in suits or like, I don't know, the commanders in battle, like she clearly uses both swords, right?
I feel like they probably should have tried to include a throwaway line of like, since she was using it in battle, it automatically got like infused with some Hemo Anima, and that could explain
Maybe.
why.
But I'm just like, she could have handled so many routes if she just used the Holy Jumanji sword. Maybe she didn't want to dull it. Maybe she's like, uh, not Zach, but Zach's teacher from FF7, who's just like, I only use the blunt end of this. I wouldn't want to mess up the nice sharp end of my sword.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, man.
But yeah, I do really like Kyoshika, since she is one of those characters as well that, like, kind of like Moko, she just has like ripple effects on the cast.
Oh yeah.
You know, like I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of devastated when I realized to go through the critical path on second scenario.
Yeah.
It meant that you had to sacrifice Kyoshika, because she is
It's cruel. It's
she's
cruel fate.
she's like one of my favorite characters. Like, she's in my top 3. And
I would just want to know how she would react to the like lore reveals and stuff. I'm so
I mean,
curious.
they literally like pretty much tell you, in second
Yeah,
scenario, they're literally like, yeah,
I'm trying to
Kyoshika would have abandoned humanity because she wouldn't have
Yeah.
she would not want to do a genocide against an innocent population.
No, that's true. She's a shonen protagonist. I was less thinking about that and more like she realizes, oh, she didn't live with that person. Actually, these people are her family. This is the first people she's been with. I'm sure she'd be sort of happy and sad about that.
Funny thing, I feel like she would probably like get past it a little more easily than others, because like that, you know, her whole thing is that she was lonely beforehand. And I don't know, I feel like the mindset she might come to at the end of the day is like her time with her master, even if it wasn't like real.
Yeah.
It's still, she would probably think of it in the same way as like the rest of the manga that she grew up on. It's a story
Yeah.
that still is like important to her and shaped who she is.
Yeah. Also, it means she didn't read all that manga. It was all virtually implanted in her head, which is awesome.
I wish that don't you wish that you could have someone do that to you? Just like go ahead and
I
put all
wish.
the manga you're needing to read into your brain.
I wish I woke up in a cool futuristic bed with all the manga plugged into my brain and a cool samurai sword at my side. That would be awesome.
Now, I will say my big fear with that kind of technology is that if that technology did exist, I know that you, specifically James, would sabotage it for me and just upload all of the Sekimea into my brain.
Yes, I would. I'm doing it as we speak.
Yep. So
anyway,
another
I don't have much. Oh, go on.
Another language fun fact with Kyoshika.
Mhm.
So Kyoshika
yeah.
also has a unique pronoun that she uses. She uses the pronoun sesha, which is a historical pronoun used by samurai. Probably not the most surprising thing.
No, not surprising, but it's cool.
And it's also, when talking to everyone else, if you've noticed, you know, she always calls other people, like, you know, Lord Takumi or Lord XYZ.
Yeah.
That's because she uses the pronoun, or I guess it's more like a surname. She uses dono with other people instead of, like, san or kun, or
Yeah.
even, like, sama, which would be kind of a more modern version of dono. But, like, dono means, like,
Yeah.
master, like the master of a samurai. So I think that that's like, yeah, that's something that kind of helps explain like
Interesting.
the actual her like speech quirks, and that it's actually rooted in Japanese history. She probably started referring to people with like dono
Yeah.
because of
It's
that
a
being
mix of
how samurai
old
would do it.
Japanese. Yeah, it's like a mix of old Japanese and just manga quirks and just like not speaking with people. I just remembered you didn't do all the comedy routes, and there's a pretty good joke that, if I'm remembering correctly, forgive me, I might be misremembering slightly, but one of the earlier routes I did, there's a route where the characters can't speak, and they're given texting devices so they can type to each other. And it gives you another window into everybody because you get to see what their typing styles are like. You know, someone like Gaku types like horribly, like you can't understand a word he's saying. But then if I remember right, Kyoshika like types perfect English, like completely like the most beautiful like eloquent speech ever, and it's like it's like she only reads, so I guess it makes sense. Like she's pretty good at English. It's just like speaking out loud and doing like things like math, aren't her strong suits. And it's just like I think that's really funny.
That is really funny. Like, because I would expect her to be the character that does all of like those crazy Japanese emojis.
Sorry, you cut out on my end. Can you repeat that?
She's the type of. It's funny you say that because it's like she's the type of person I would expect to be like spamming all of those like crazy Japanese emojis.
Oh yeah, and again, it's been a while, but I'm pretty sure she didn't do anything like that. I'm pretty sure she just speaks really like eloquently. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And just for the record, also I also forgot. I completely forgot until now, so I should also mention this. But Darumi is also pretty funny in that route because she like gets drugged up or whatever and starts sending people like crazy like Facebook like fake virus messages and stuff like, if you don't share this to 10 people, Satan will devour your soul, like stuff like that. And she's like, I don't remember typing it. I'm pretty sure I did.
It's a very
It's
Darumi
awesome.
thing to do.
It's pretty great.
But yeah,
really funny in retrospect.
But yeah, Kyoshika, like, she's a fail girl, and we all love her for it. But also,
yes,
she's just able to handle it. She's just like easily able to handle most of like the emotional turmoil that comes the character's way in this story. And
he is the best character.
It's
and I believe they should add Kyoshika route or there's a fan named like Ronin route where like you and Kyoshika get separated and are on your own, and that would just be awesome. No, the zombie route, the ending doesn't count.
I would love a just full focused Kyoshika route. I think that would be really, really cool.
I think final true ending route should be you and Kyoshika versus Kako-G and Veshness and like a powered up Eito all at once, and you're just like, we're just going to handle you, and then you do because you're them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if
Kyoshika solos.
I don't know if we're going to bring it up again, but I really feel like one of the reasons why she's the one who had to get sacrificed is because she would not have let it get that bad in second scenario.
Yeah, no, like I said, I joke, but I'm not joking. She would have handled it. Things would be better.
Yeah.
Defeat Sirei, tear him in half, 2 arms.
Very good.
Yeah, I think that about covers my thoughts on the characters. I think we were pretty thorough. What do you think?
I don't know. I think we skipped over a lot, honestly.
Yeah, we should just start over, honestly. Anyway, next I think we can move on to the root tier list.